91.1 FM, brought to you by Big Willie's. Now, here's three-time Utah Sports Broadcaster of the Year and Voice of the Utes, Bill Riley.
Hey there, good morning. Welcome in to a special edition of the Sean O'Connell Show. Bill Riley sitting in today for OC, who is apparently in Belfast doing some fighting stuff. So good to be with you on this Thursday. Oh, boy. We've got so much to talk about and so little time to do it today. Thank you for making me part of your day. I love being back in the air chair today. It's so good to be with you here on the 50,000-watt blowtorch that is ESPN 700 and our FM home, 92.1 FM. Thank you to Sean O'Connell for allowing me to sit in the air chair today. And it's good to be with you on this Thursday. If the mood strikes you today and you would love to talk to me, we have got the text line open to you at 877-353-0700. 877-353-0700 will get you in touch with me today. Over the next 3 hours here on the radio, we will talk to you about a variety of things, including spring football with the University of Utah. They wrap it up this week, Morgan Scalley's guys. No spring football game. They are doing a fan day coming up on Saturday. They have opted to do an extra day of practice and get some work in. So we will talk about that today and expectations for the upcoming season. Yeah, I know it's way too early. I know it's 140 days until kickoff, but we're going to do it anyway today here on the program. So we'll mix in a little Utah football today, and I'll give you three names coming out of spring ball that I've heard great things about that are going to have a big impact this fall with Utah football. I'll give you those coming up in just a bit, and you guys can, of course, interact with me if you have a Utah football question or anything that may be on your mind today. 877-353-0700. That is the text line. That is how you reach me. I will read them on the air or get you a response off the air. So fire up the text line today. So some Utah football. Oh, the transfer portal is popping right now. Everybody is doing their shopping and they're visiting and they're interviewing and they're feeling out right now in college basketball on the men's and women's side of things. Utah has scheduled many visits, and they have got lots of people that have come through. They're doing their due diligence. BYU has gotten some commitments. They are doing their due diligence. And some of the guys that have left those programs have found new homes. We'll tell you about one in particular that played for Utah the last couple of years. It's got a pretty big brand new home. That will be coming up on the program today. The Jazz season is over, thankfully. It was a long, arduous, difficult season. It was not a fun season. I watched a little bit of Jazz basketball. I'm not going to lie to you here. It's not like the old days when I did this show every single day and I would watch Jazz basketball beginning to end. I don't do that anymore. I don't have time for that anymore. And to be very fair, the product is terrible. It's not good at all. But there is hope, or is there hope? We'll talk about that today with you. Are you excited about the offseason? How important is this offseason? We'll get to all of that stuff on the program today. My good friend Gordon Chiesa will be in studio beginning at 11:30 today. We'll talk for an hour about the Jazz and the playoffs. I'm sure Gordy will have a list, maybe some restaurant recommendations for us. He's a man about town, Gordon Chiesa. And we will hear from Gordy coming up in about 25 minutes or so. The hockey season. The regular season comes to an end tonight. Oh, what a fun season it's been for Mammoth hockey. I've got to say, they've got the regular season finale downtown tonight against the St. Louis Blues. My friend Kevin invited me to go to the game tonight, and I could not go to the game tonight because I've got a busy day. And they're dropping the puck early today. It's like a 5:30 start time downtown. So I couldn't make it. Kevin, if you're listening, I don't know if you're listening or not. Thank you for the invite. I can't make it down tonight, but if you have tickets for a playoff game, Kevin, I'll be happy to go down and watch playoff hockey. There is nothing like playoff hockey. It is different level. It is next level. Hey, NBA playoff basketball is good, but not really in the early rounds as much. Every round, every moment, every second of NHL Stanley Cup playoff hockey is unbelievable and off the charts. And the Mammoth are in the playoffs. They are facing the Golden Knights of Las Vegas. And we just got word from Mammoth PR just a little while ago. Game one of that series in Vegas will be Sunday. Don't have a start time yet. That is to be determined. But the Mammoth and the Golden Knights will play Sunday in Vegas at T-Mobile Arena. Oh, playoff hockey is coming to Salt Lake City. How great is that? My buddy Mike Folter, the play-by-play voice on radio of the Mammoth, is going to join us a little bit later in the program today. We'll talk some Utah football as well with Jordan Wynn, my friend and former Utah quarterback. We'll see Jordan's thoughts on spring football and his expectations with Morgan Scalley and Colton Swan and Kevin McGivern and the return of Devin Dampier and Wayshawn Parker and Bird Ficklin and the rest of that team. We'll talk to Jordan a little bit about the upcoming season, his expectations, and all that good stuff. So that'll be coming up. Those are my guests on the program today. We'll have a little golf to give away on the program. Still love this. Festival of Tees. We'll be giving away some golf in the noon and 1 o'clock hours today with Festival of Tees. We'll give you PGA Tour leaderboard updates and more. All right here on the Sean O'Connell Show, which is brought to you by Big Willie's Sports Bar here in Salt Lake City. Craft food to craft cocktails. They are the sports bar. You can check them out at 1717 South Main, right there in South Salt Lake. They are awesome. So that's what we've got for you today. And again, would love to hear from you on the old text line today. Hit me up at 877-353-0700. That's 877-353-0700. It could be Utah football. It could be Utah basketball. It could be the end of the Jazz season. It could be, I don't know, Mammoth hockey if you want to talk some hockey playoffs, NHL Stanley Cup playoff action. The NFL draft begins a week from today. Utah's going to have some guys. They are probably 2 first-round guys taken. Spencer Fano and Caleb Lomu are both likely first-round picks. Spencer's got a range of anywhere from about probably the 6th pick, I don't think he'd go as high as the 3rd pick, but he's got a range of anywhere from about 6 to 20. Caleb Lomu's probably going to be taken in somewhere in that 20 to 30 range, but both those guys are likely to be first-round picks. I was lucky enough on my podcast, The Crimson Corner, which drops today wherever you get podcasts, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. The Crimson Corner with Bill Riley. Give it a listen, download it, share it with friends, give us a good rating. I caught up yesterday with former University of Utah linebacker Devin Lloyd. Of course, Devin was a first-round draft choice in the 2022 NFL draft, and he is now a member of the Carolina Panthers. It's a great conversation and a good listen. So if you get a chance, give it a listen to the Crimson Corner. But he talked a little bit about how he felt like both Lomu and Fano, as he watches from afar, are going to be good reads and good additions to NFL rosters when they make those NFL jumps this year. He says Utah guys are just better prepared for the NFL because they're coached like they're going to the NFL when they're in college. They're just better equipped for it. So it's a good listen. If you will, go find the Crimson Quarter podcast, share it with friends. This week's special guest will be none other than Devin Lloyd. Next week, Zane Beadles is going to join us, and we'll have a draft insider joining us as well on the Crimson Quarter podcast. So we will go in that direction. So, yeah, that's where we're at. That's what we've got going here today. I am so glad to be sitting here talking to you guys here in Sean's air chair. If you want to listen in or watch in on YouTube, you could do so. You go to the YouTube channel, ESPN 700 Sports Utah, and I am right here in all my glory staring at the different YouTube cameras here in studio. It's a different – there we are, looking right at it right now. If you want to follow it that way or just listen in on the 50,000-watt blowtorch or online or any of that good stuff, would love to have you be part of it today. And, if you can make 3 hours, great. If you can make 30 minutes, great, whatever it can be. And if you can't make the whole show, whether it's me, whether it's Sean, whether it's Spence, you can find all the podcasts on demand at ESPN700sports.com or on the ESPN 700 mobile app. So I think that sets the table pretty well for us today. Gordy will be in about 20 minutes to talk some NBA basketball, give us his list of the day, talk playoffs, talk Jazz off season, and all that good stuff. So we've got that coming up. And again, if you guys want to chat with me, you've got questions about Utah spring football, the upcoming season, any of that stuff, Utah transfer portal, college basketball, Jazz, Mammoth, draft, any of it, hit me up. Text line is open to you at 877-353-0700. That again, 877 353-0700. We'll begin with Utah spring football today. We'll get into some other stuff as we go here. Spring ball wraps up this week. It's been a good month of football for Morgan Scalley. He met with the media the other day. You probably heard some of the clips on Spence's show or in this space. They're up online too at ESPN700sports.com. Good energy, no major issues. As of at least the other day, the injury bug really hadn't bit Utah in the spring. So Scalley and his crew are very happy with the progress of where Utah football went this spring. They've got the Fan Day coming up on Saturday. It'll be at the Spence Checketts Fieldhouse Saturday afternoon from about 4:30 to 6 o'clock. It's called the 22 for You Fan Day. It'll be a chance for fans to meet with all the players and all the staff. They're going to have a kids zone up there, too. So if your kids are 12 and under, they can go through some drills and some activities with some of the Utah coaching staff. So that's up there as well. But it's been a good spring. Event-wise, nothing major really to report. It's been a lot of offensive install. In the limited time I've been able to see practice this spring, it's been good. What I've liked is the energy and the vibes around it. It's all very positive. It's all very good. When you talk to the players after practice or if I bump into them at the facility, everybody's really in a good space right now, which is good news. So I think it's gone well this spring. Does that mean it's going to go well in the fall? No, it doesn't. One does not equal the other. But this program's in good shape. It's what I've told people all the time that, there was a lot of concern. Whenever there's change, there's concern. And, when the guy that ran the program that's widely respected and viewed as one of the best coaches in college football steps down and then takes another job, people are already, oh, my gosh, what's going on? Well, the plan was in place for succession, and the man that was always planning on taking over the program had been working at this for years, plotting and planning and getting things ready to go behind the scenes, because that's the guy he is. He is a plotter. He is a planner. He is a guy that's very detail-oriented. So this didn't come as any real surprise, and he knew what he wanted to do when he stepped in. There was great talent in the program. Did Utah lose some players? Of course they did. Everybody loses players in the portal. But they also backfilled with good talent as well. And I think you're beginning to see that now. I think you're beginning to see some of that stuff with people around college football. There was that initial in December and January, oh my goodness, the sky is falling. And now that people have begun to check in, ESPN, CBS, a lot of these places have checked in with Utah, they're beginning to see, oh, wait a minute. Nothing has changed. Same program, different faces, a little bit different energy, but the same commitment to toughness and physicality. And, oh, by the way, there's talent. There's top-tier quarterback talent. The physicality, the defense is still in place. And you're beginning to see when people report on and talk about Utah football, some of that's coming around. On my podcast, The Crimson Corner, every week really for the last couple of months, I've identified something called one of those way too early top 25s. Everybody does them. Everybody puts them out, every media outlet, because they're fun to do. Because you just put a little bit of thought in it, and then you rank teams, and then everybody talks about it. It's great aggregation for social media and talk shows and podcasts and things like that. Well, ESPN's Mark Schlabach, who's a very good college football writer, he put out his way too early top 25 literally the day after the national championship game in mid-January. And when he put out his way too early top 25, things had not completely settled in college athletics, and everything at Utah was brand new. But Schlabach's a smart guy, and he had Utah inside of his way too early top 25. He had him in at number 25. He said there's a lot of questions. Kyle Whittingham is gone. New coaching staff. You lose some players in the portal. But he still had them within his way too early top 25 at number 25. And I have said all along this spring, I think Utah, probably the sweet spot for Utah in these way too early top 25s, and the right place for them is somewhere in that 15 to 20 range. But I'm a little bit closer to the program. I'm able to see what goes on a day in and day out basis. I'm able to see the behind the scenes stuff that people that write for national publications aren't on the ground and don't see. And I saw that there was a smooth transition of power. I saw in many ways there were upgrades in different areas. The general manager spot was certainly an upgrade when they brought on Joe DeRazio. And the players and the vibes and what they've done and how it fits. I've been able to get kind of a front row behind-the-scenes seat for what the new plan is under the Morgan Scalley era. But a lot of people didn't see that from the outside. But now, as spring football has played its way out, as people are beginning to make phone calls and see reports coming out of Salt Lake City, all of a sudden people are again going, okay, wait a minute. Maybe the sky didn't fall. Maybe things have balanced out. Maybe Utah's in a pretty good position, which I believe they are. Again, we're sitting here in mid-April. It's April the 16th. We're 140 days away from kickoff. But I think people are beginning to realize the program's in good shape. And the drama of the coaching change has died down. So Mark Schlabach 2 days ago put out his way too early top 25 2.0. And where did he have Utah in this way too early top 25 2.0? Well, he had them at number 18, up 7 spots from where he had them before. Has Utah played a game? No, they haven't. But what they have done since Mark's first one is go through the transfer portal. They've made all their coaching hires and additions. And I'm sure Schlabach, because he's a smart guy, has talked to some people. Maybe he's even talked to some of the coaching staff and found out, oh, okay, things have not changed that much. The culture is still in place, and things are good. So I think you're going to begin to see that a little bit more here as spring football winds down, not only here in Salt Lake City, but around the country, that when people start to talk a little bit about Utah, they begin to realize the program is still in really good shape. It's a good read. Mark does his homework, and he had 5 Big 12 teams in his top 25, his way too early top 25 2.0. He had Texas Tech at number 8. They were at number 7. He had BYU at number 12. They were at number 11. He had Utah at number 18. They were at 25. He actually had TCU in his way too early top 25, which I hadn't seen really TCU in very many places. He had them at 20, and now they're at 23. And he also had Houston. Houston's been kind of a trendy pick for that way too early top 25 by a lot of people. And I think Willie Fritz has done a really good job. They had a little bit of a soft schedule last year, but I think they're going to be pretty good. He had them at number 24. They weren't ranked in his first way too early top 25. I would probably, if I was doing it, and I'll probably do a way too early top 25 at some point in time after spring football settles in, and we know what the rosters are going to look like for fall. But I would probably put Arizona in and probably sub TCU out. Arizona brings back a lot, including their starting quarterback. TCU's having to find a new starting quarterback because Josh Hoover left, and he's now playing for Kirk Cignetti at the University of Indiana. So that's kind of that. Let me give you, based on conversations I've had and some practice I've been able to watch this spring, 3 names to keep an eye on heading to fall camp. 3 guys that I think could be real impact players this fall for the University of Utah. One of them is a returning player. One of them is a player that's got collegiate experience, but he's a new face. And one of them is a completely new face to college football. I'll start with that guy. And I'll mention him only because, and I was probably going to mention him anyway, but when Morgan Scalley name-checked him the other day after practice, that just kind of backed up all the intel that I've kind of been hearing and seeing and things like that. That's Kelvin Obot, the 5-star offensive lineman, young man from Fruitland, Idaho, the guy that played in high school for Jordan Gross. He's had a good spring. But Morgan said this the other day. We expected him to, but when you come in and back it up, that means something. And Kelvin's a good football player. And Morgan backed that up. I would be very surprised if he didn't have a very positive impact on that Utah offensive line come fall. The returning player that's got really good buzz this spring, and he's been name-checked a few times by both his head coach and offensive coordinator, is Daniel Bray. We know who running back 1 is for Utah. That's Wayshawn Parker. But Daniel Bray was a young man who was a true freshman a year ago. And we caught him in glimpses last year. But when he finally got on the field, he's got juice. He's got a little get up and go. And for his size, he's also got some toughness. He catches it well. He runs it well. He's got burst. Would not surprise me in any way, shape, or form if Daniel Bray didn't have a huge impact and role on this University of Utah offense coming up this fall. It wouldn't surprise me either if he was running back 2 when it's all said and done. And the third name I'm going to tell you to keep an eye on is a guy that when I've gone out to practice, I always feel like I see him making a play or two. And I know that his defensive coordinator is a big fan. His name is Ethan Day. He's a defensive end. Utah needs defensive end plays because really the only 2 guys returning that had production to note were Cash Dillon and Lance Holtzclaw. Ethan Day played at a high level at the University of North Texas last year. He was a good defensive end for the Mean Green. The Mean Green and their coach, Eric Morris, is now at Oklahoma State. He took just about his entire roster, it felt like, with him to Oklahoma State. But Ethan Day didn't. He came to Salt Lake City. I think he's going to be a really nice player. Whether he starts or whether he's a rotational piece, it really doesn't matter. He's going to be on the field this fall, and I think he's going to have a big impact. So those are 3 guys just for you to get kind of names to file away. And you know those names. If you follow Utah football, those are not unknown names to you. But I think all 3 guys could be big impact players this fall for Utah football when they get back out on the field and when they open up against the Idaho Vandals. 140 days from today, can you believe it? 140 days from today, Utah football kicks off. So here's a question I'll throw out to you today. And again, when you get a chance, drop me a text at 877-353-0700. We said 140 days out. You've seen the offseason kind of play itself out now. The coaching change, the new staff hires, the portal additions, and almost a full spring football. If I ask you, a Utah football fan, what your expectation is for the upcoming season, do you think the program – now again, remember, this is a team coming off an 11-2 season. There's not a lot more room to go up, but there is room. Do you expect this program to be slightly improved? Because you're not going to be greatly improved when you were 11-2 a year ago. This was a really good team. This was a team that missed being a playoff team by a whisker. So do you expect them to be slightly improved? About the same as a year ago? Or maybe a slight regression? And tell me why. What's your expectation for the upcoming season? Slightly improved? About the same? By the way, about the same would put you right in the mix for the Big 12 postseason, the Big 12 championship game, and the playoffs again. Or maybe you think there's a little bit of a regression. It's up to you. And again, this is all speculation because you haven't seen them play. I've seen them in practice, but it's spring football practice. But as we sit here 140 days out, and I'm sure I'll be on the air with you guys again sometime between now and kickoff because, you know, I like to sit in from time to time, and my bosses have been kind enough to give me permission to sit in every once in a while to fill in for Sean. What's your expectation for the upcoming season? Hit me on the text line at 877-353-0700. That's 877-353-0700 to get you in and on board today here on the Sean O'Connell Show with Bill Riley sitting in. Text message in from 7017 says, "Hey, Bill, great to hear your intro again on the radio." Well, I hope it's good to hear me too, not just my intro. But thank you for that. Todd says, "Hey, Bill, great to have you back again. No better way to kick off a 3-day weekend. Thank you, sir." Get a 3-day week. This would be a 4-day, unless your work starts on Sunday. But, yeah, I'm glad you've got a 3-day weekend, Todd. Thank you. Matt Rigby says, "Hey, Bill, among the biggest concern is November 7th, but I'm also super excited for it." That's fair. I will say this. If you're going to say a slightly improved season, I think the schedule would be one of the reasons why. Utah's schedule is good, but it's not, I don't think I would say daunting. The non-conference schedule is very manageable. They don't have to play Texas Tech in the regular season. They don't have to play Arizona State in the regular season. They get BYU and Houston, 2 preseason ranked teams at home. They do have to go to Fort Worth. That'll be tough. They do have to go to Tucson the week after playing BYU, but I think, you can look at this. I think this team's going to be improved this year. I do. And I think the big reason is Devin Dampier, Bird Ficklin, Wayshawn Parker, your biggest weapons on the offensive side of the football, are back. And they've got a full offseason with a new offensive coordinator who I think is going to be very innovative with what they do and very creative. I've asked Devin Dampier a couple of different times about that, and he gets a big smile on his face when I ask him about the creativity of Kevin McGivern. So that gives me pretty good hope. Greg Dorius, hey, Greg, I expect a slight regression, mostly because of the new offensive line. Well, I think that's fair, but you've got to remember, that offensive line was elite. I mean, maybe the best in college football last year. If they regress slightly, and they likely will because I'm not sure all 5 guys are going to be NFL draft picks next year, they can still be very, very good. (877-353-0700). Jared says, have you seen any 2 quarterback looks in the spring? I'm not really supposed to say what I see at practice. But I can tell you, Jared, I've liked what I've seen at practice. We'll leave it at that for now. We'll get to some more of your text messages coming up here in just a bit on the program. Keep them coming in today. What are your expectations as we sit 140 days out? And that's still a lot of time. For the upcoming season, slightly improved, about the same, or maybe a slight regression? And tell me why. I always like the why in there as well. Text line is open at 877-353-0700. You can hit me with transfer portal stuff. You can hit me with Jazz season stuff. I could not be more excited about the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. I've always loved the playoffs. I've never had a hockey team in my life that I could root for. I've never lived in a city with NHL hockey. I just haven't. When I grew up in Kansas City, there was no hockey team. The Scouts left before I got there. Jacksonville, Florida didn't have it. But now I've got a team to root for here, the Utah Mammoth, which is fantastic. We're going to talk to Mike Folta, their play-by-play voice, about the upcoming – tonight's a regular season finale. Doesn't mean much. They already know. They're going to be playing the Golden Knights, and Game 1 is Sunday in Las Vegas. So we'll talk to Mike about that coming up in just a bit. But coming up next, the NBA playoffs are rolling. The Jazz are not in them. How far away are the Jazz from being a playoff team? Could they be in the playoffs next year, maybe as a play-in team? What's got to happen this offseason? What about the playoff predictions? We'll talk about all that stuff because for the next hour, Gordon Chiesa in studio next here on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Not OC today. The OG in for OC, Bill Riley, with my guy, Gordy Chiesa, my friend of so many years and Jazz and NBA insider. How are you, dog? I love you.
Bill, I am doing well. Thank you.
All right.
Welcome back.
Yeah, it's like riding a bike here, Gordy. It's like you and I back there. We were on the phone a couple of weeks ago when I filled in for Sean for the first time. But this is even better having you in studio with your lists and your binders and all of that stuff. I don't know where to start. Let's start first with the Jazz. We've got a whole hour here. So we're going to start first with the Jazz, and then we'll kind of expand out to the NBA and the playoffs that are coming up and all of that stuff. It was a bad year. It was an expectedly bad year. But if you are a hardcore Jazz fan, it's gotten harder and harder the last couple of years to watch the team you love so very much. But it feels like, despite they don't like you to say tanking, but we know what it is, that it feels like to me, and this is me on the outside, I'm not in it every day like you are, but it feels like for the first time in 2 or 3 years, there might be a plan you can see in place. Something that's a little bit tangible by the moves that they made this year. You can kind of it may be off in the distance, Gordy. It may be a little blurry right now, but it kind of feels like you can see the vision of what maybe they're trying to do. Is that fair?
Yes, very much. It's absolutely fair. So if I'm a Jazz fan, there is absolutely hope. And the Jazz are trying to position themselves to, Bill, I'm saying next year, as we speak about the play-in tournament last night, the Jazz should be in the play-in tournament next season. They should be.
So one of my favorite movies is Shawshank Redemption.
Absolutely.
You love that movie, too.
Yes,
You've seen it. One of the great lines in that movie from Andy Dufresne is, hope is a good thing. Maybe it's the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. So you say there's hope for the Utah Jazz.
Very much. And
where does the hope lie for you, not for 4 years from now, but for next year? Because nobody wants to look – we're tired of looking 4 years down the line.
Oh, no.
We want to look at next year. Where is the hope for next year for the Utah Jazz so at this time next year in 2027 that they could potentially be in the postseason?
Yes. The hope is that Jazz, one, they have talent, and that talent has to be able to play defense. So next year's starting lineup, Bill, should be. This is before the draft. Yeah, that's before the draft. Should be Keontae George at 1, Ace Bailey at 2, Larry Marketing at 3, Jaren Jackson at 4, and re-signed Walker Kessler. That's the starting lineup. So that's a good lineup.
That's a big lineup, Gordy.
Yes, it is. It's big, and it's athletic, and they have different skill sets. Now, the problem is, as always, the Jazz have to play defense. See, in the NFL, we'd be up at arms.
Well, I think your front court, you can say, okay, we can see a path with Jaren Jackson and Walker Kessler as defenders, rim protectors in the front court. Lowry, they've never really asked him to do it anywhere he's been. Keontae, no. Ace Bailey, young, but of course, no. So 3 of your 5 guys are what you would call non-defenders right now for the Utah Jazz. But if that's your starting 5, we won't even talk about the bench yet. If you're going to get, let's just say, 65 to 70 games out of those 5 guys, is that good enough to be one of the top 10 teams in the West?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Here's this quick metrics, and I'll explain to you quickly about about how to do it. All right, so the Jazz this year and last year, the Jazz are ranked number 29 in overall defensive rating. The only team worse than the Jazz was the Wizards. The Jazz last year were number 30, the least team in the NBA for block shots at 3.8. So by getting Jaren Jackson and bringing back Walker Kessler, that will improve. The problem, Bill, is that the Jazz allowed the most points in the NBA this year per game at 126. Yikes! All right, and it all starts and ends on ball containment. The Jazz do not contain the ball on perimeter, and so segue to that. The Jazz allowed the most made 3-point shots in the NBA. Bill, 15.3, and they allowed the most 3-point attempts in the NBA at 41.1. All right, so it all starts and ends can the Jazz players, meaning Keontae George,
Okay.
Ace Bailey,
Okay.
Larry Marketing,
Okay.
can they guard the ball? Can they?
Okay. Well, Ace Bailey is a rookie. So we're gonna give him a little grace here. He's got the length, he's got the athleticism to do it. So maybe Will Hardy and his guys could coach him up. But Larry Markin in 7 years, I think it's 7 or is it 8 now? 7, 8 years into the NBA. Keontae George is 4 years into the NBA. Neither has ever shown a propensity to really guard. Can you, as a guy that coached it for a long time, can you change a player's DNA 7, 8 years into their career?
Yes.
You can.
Yes,
Okay.
you can. Yeah, yes, you can. So next season, meaning the 26-27 season, it'll be Keontae George's 4th year. It'll be Larry Markin. Bill, you're right on point. It'll be his 10th season. And so the answer is yes, because there has to be accountability, and it's all based on technique.
So give me an example. Go back over your career, your long and storied NBA career. Long and storied. A Jazz guy, a Memphis Grizzlies guy, a Seattle Sonics guy. Go find me somebody that was a non-defender that you turned into at least somewhat or a plus defender that were 4 or 5. They were into their career already. Can you give me an example of somebody you worked with or a guy on a team you coached that became a markedly better defender?
Oh, absolutely. Rashard Lewis.
Okay.
Ray Allen.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ray Allen?
Yeah, Ray Allen, especially in the fourth quarter.
Okay. Ray picked his spots.
Ray Allen.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
They were both – you coached both those guys in Seattle.
Yeah, absolutely. And those guys, they were wannabe defenders, and we improved them. And that's by accountability. So, again, the question is, how can I combine technique with effort and peer pressure? So remember, a lot of times your teammates put the most heavy peer pressure on you saying, what are you doing? Most times when big guys are in foul trouble, it all starts because the guys on the perimeter don't contain the ball.
Okay.
That's what happens.
Okay.
So if I'm in foul trouble early, I'm a big guy, I am absolutely calling out the guys on the perimeter. Why are you not defending the ball? And that's all based on technique. And that's based on Bill. In any sport, just think about the sport of football. If you bend your knees, the chances of having better balance improves dramatically.
Correct.
The lower you get on defense in any sport, the better you are.
Correct. Bending your knees in basketball is a big thing, too. You got to get into your stance. So, by the way, I know I'm old, and I watch it, but
no, you're not. You're young and restless.
Nobody. It very rarely do you see guys getting into stances anymore.
Wait a second.
Especially collegiately.
Well, okay. Again, that's getting on them. Bill, you're talking blasphemy. Last night's game, just quickly, Draymond Green got in that stance, and he pickpocketed those guys in the fourth quarter.
That's playoff basketball, though. I'm talking about regular season NBA basketball. Not a lot of stances getting into all the time. Anyway, I digress. So those 5 guys, you think that there's room for defensive improvement. That they can score the ball. We know the Jazz can score.
Can score.
Those 5 guys can score the ball. How much of an improvement? Let's just say the Jazz right now are playing at a 35%, 25% defensive effort. What level do you need to get them to as a group to make them a playoff team? 40%, 45%, 50%? How much work does Will Hardy and his staff have this summer with this group to try to get them better defensively?
60%.
60%?
Absolutely.
Okay. So they've got a long way to go.
Yeah, they do. And also, again, it's all based on the accountability, and now there's other guys that might take your place. That's the magical word, is that if after counseling people and coaching them and showing them technique, and if they still don't do it, then you have to make some sort of less playing time. It's good. That's how you win.
So Gordy's brought to us by Aladdin Industries, your Velux dealer. So those 5 guys, for now, we don't know. The Jazz might have the number 1 pick. They might have the number 5. But who knows? They're somewhere. They're gonna get a good player because this is a good draft. But with that being said, right now, the bench. 5 guys are not going to win you a championship. 5 guys are not really even going to make you a playoff team. You've got to have guys. Do you like what the Jazz have coming off the bench, or does that need to be remade? Because the starters are probably going to be the starters. Maybe you add in free agency, maybe you add through the draft, But are guys like Collier and Williams and Sensabaugh and Filipowski and Conchar, Harkless, are these guys that you would bring back, or would you want to remake that bench a little bit?
I bring some of them back. I bring back Isaiah Collier. But
okay.
But he might be gone. If the Jazz pick will say at 5, 6, 7, or 8,
okay,
just hypothetically, the best players at that position are all guards, point guards. So Collier is very good. That guy's pass happy. He's got some toughness. So again, if you draft a guy, just for hypothetically now, is that then what happens to Collier? He becomes the third point guard, or does you try to move him this summer because he has value, because teams like him, and his perimeter shooting has gotten slightly better. He can drive that ball to the basketball. He's got a winning game. So I do like Collier. Cody Williams has made some improvement offensively. Yes, he has. He's got it, but he still can't shoot threes yet. So Williams right now, he shot 46.8 from the field. But the problem is what? His three-point shooting is still woefully low. And so he's got to get better at shooting. His defense, again, is a concern.
What about his body?
It's a concern.
Yeah.
Meaning what? He's got that angular, high-hips body. He has to get more core balance, get stronger upper body, but also, usually speaking, again, is that your athleticism is based on your core balance as far as how you can maintain a level of leverage when you get bumped off balance. And so Cody Williams has to get stronger. They know that.
Well, he's not going anywhere because he's on his rookie contract,
right.
and
there's cost certainty.
Yeah, you're not going to pull the ripcord on him yet, but that also doesn't mean though he's part of your regular rotation. He's going to have to earn that time next year with the better talent on the team, right?
Correct. Yeah. And by the way, he's only 21. Again, these guys are drafted so young that you think they're going to step in, and the answer is it hardly really ever happens.
So you've mentioned Collier, you've mentioned Williams. Who else do you like that they've got on that roster to bring back next year?
Oh, Bryce Sensabaugh.
Okay.
Absolutely. That guy can shoot. That guy's got some toughness. He only missed 7 games last year, which is commendable. And that he's a streak shooter. He reminds you of a younger version and much bigger of Jordan Clarkson. Bill, that guy, he can shoot, and he's fearless. So I'd bring him back. And again, his contract is absolutely team friendly, and I think he's really a good off the bench. He's what you need. When he has the ball, you feel good about it when he's open.
Okay.
I like him. He's fiery.
Anybody else you like?
I like Filipowski. He's undermanned. So again, we're talking somebody that's a second-round pick at number 32. He's played relatively well offensively. He's overmatched physically, not athletically. I bring him back because his contract is team friendly. He does hustle, and he's good. And then also, again, these guys have value. So if the Jazz, they could make a trade with these guys because other teams like them. But their best position is off the bench contributors coming into the game, causing offensive havoc. The problem is you have to get guys to call what? Defensive havoc.
Correct.
Off the bench. That is the concern. So I bring back some of them, if not all of them. All depends who the other guys are.
Give me a couple of names in the draft, knowing what the Jazz need and where they might pick. They could pick, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, somewhere in that range. What? Give me a couple of names of guys you've watched play this year, Gordy, that you think could help the Jazz. Because if you're picking that high, you want somebody that's going to be able to come in and help you. Not necessarily a starter, maybe at some point, but somebody that can certainly be a rotational piece that can help you next year. Are there a couple of names you like?
Oh, absolutely. Caleb Wilson, Carolina.
Kid from Carolina.
Absolutely. I would take him in a heartbeat. And also Lindenberg from Michigan. Got a winning game. Those two guys, if the Jazz could get them, that would be tremendous. They're good. And the other guys who, again, you know the names. Darius Adkoff, Kingston Fleming, Mikael Brown.
Yeah, but is Adkoff?
He's a talent.
Well, he's a scoring talent.
I know.
We just spent 10 minutes talking about guarding. He doesn't guard his shadow, but he can score. Do you need another guy that can really score it like him?
I love these theories.
Or do you need a guy that you think can maybe guard a little bit? And now maybe he can. Maybe John Calipari just never asked him to guard as a freshman. Maybe you saw something on the tape, but when I watched him, I saw a guy that could fill the bucket up, but I didn't see a guy that played much defense.
Okay, here's the dilemma, the great dilemma of everybody in the draft room. When do you stop picking not
Talent.
based on talent? You got that right, Bill. It's the great dilemma. You wish that these guys would be two-way players from day one. Yes, you do. Of course you do. However, it's really a rarity. It's so. Just say hypothetically. Again, we're just hypothetically talking right now. You're driving right now at I-15. Please stay ready. Stay on the road right now. Is that when do you make that value judgment to not pick only on talent and you're based on positional needs? I'm saying most times philosophically, most times it would be double-digit draft. In other words, 10 and above.
You just say talent.
No, I'm saying
talent
10 and position.
10 and above, meaning
above.
1 through 10?
Yeah, 10 and above. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Oh, okay. So, but 1 through 10, you're just going talent?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
You look at positional needs and talent after that, but 1 through 10, when you're in that top 10, you're just saying, give me the best player I can get, and we'll figure out how to play him after that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was pick number 13.
Yeah.
And Nikola Jokic wasn't even the first pick by the Denver Nuggets. It was Yusuf Nurkic. So
Who's, by the way, a jazz man.
I know, exactly. It just shows you that you think you know something, you know nothing. Trust me. I've been doing this for 30 in the NBA. I've been in the NBA, directly around the NBA. I just finished, Bill, my 37th season. And trust me, you think you know something, but it's called human behavior. That there's no analytics, there's no metrics, there's no AI someday that will tell you what's in a player's heart. And by the way, who's your teammate next to you? And by the way, in the locker room, who's the guy next to you you get laced up with? These are all so many variables that make a player either successful or can fast-track his improvement.
A few more Jazz thoughts. We'll get them from. By the way, if you have any questions for Gordy, hit us up on the text line, 877-353-0700. We'll fire a few questions at Gordy. Draft-related, Jazz season-related, off-season, all of that stuff. We'll also talk some playoffs and more with the great Gordon Chiesa, brought to us by our friends at Aladdin Industries. More on the other side here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Bill Riley sitting in today on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Did you pick this song?
Yes.
It's a great song.
What do you think? On Pi Square?
No.
You think I'm an oldster?
You're hip as hip can be. And he's got his he's got his scarf on today. It is going to be chilly later. We're supposed to get a freeze warning tonight.
I love it. Bill, you think subconsciously that because of my age.
Don't you put that on me. Don't you? We have been friends for too long for you to put that on me. Gordy's in today. He's in for a full hour. He'll be here till 12:30. I'm in for Sean today. Sean's over in Belfast doing some fighting stuff. And it's good to have you on the Sean O'Connell Show today, presented by our friends at Big Willie's. We're talking some NBA stuff with Gordy. Hey, I want to get a few more Jazz thoughts about the offseason coming up from you. But how about Steph Curry last night?
Yes.
How about Steph Curry?
One for the
Much
ages.
like you, Gordy, he is ageless and timeless. He brings his A game every night, just like you, Gordy Chiesa.
No, thanks for the compliment, but there's no correlation, me and Steph. But with Steph last night, it was tremendous. I was sitting there, Bill, on TV, and I was actually cheering. It was a comeback. Let's quickly, if you didn't see the game, it was a comeback win over the Clippers when the Warriors were down 13 points under 10 minutes on the road. And remember now, loser goes home. There's no tomorrow in this game. And then the Warriors outscored the Clippers in that stretch, 41-23 in that frame, including 14 for 18 shooting for 77.8% from the field at time, and also 8 draining threes. All right, so that's what happened as a group right now. But Steph Curry was on fire, parking lot range, picture perfect, step back threes. He was injured, so they said that he was they weren't sure how many minutes he's going to play. He only played 36.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, 36. And he goes 35 points, 12 for 23, 7 for 12, but he made every big shot that they needed. Him and his trusted sidekick, young, aging Al Horford. Now, Al Horford, who they picked up from the Celtics, Al Horford, age 39 now, 9 times this season only, he made 3 threes in a game. So only 9 times he made 3 3-point shots. Last night, he makes 4 out of 7. And it's when he got them also. So it was amazing effort by the Golden State Warriors. It was
27 of his 35 were in the second half.
Yeah.
Al Horford had 4 threes in the second half.
Right.
Tito's son, by the way.
That's right. Tito Horford, Bill's alluding to. Tito Horford, former Milwaukee Bucks player. He was in 1986. He went to the University of Miami of Florida in Coral Gables. And let's add to this. Our TV partners, Bill, in the NBA are ecstatic.
Oh, in the NBA offices today, they will never openly root, but if the Golden State Warriors knock off the Phoenix Suns on Friday, they will be through the roof, won't they?
Very much, because that means that Steph Curry and the Warriors brand. In other words, Steph Curry, people like him. Like Bill, he's likable. He's 6'3". He went to Davidson College. Yes. He went online to get his degree. 2 years ago, he was playing in the playoffs. They asked him, Steph, what are you doing tonight? You resting? He goes, no, I'm doing my term paper. It's due next day. They said, what are you doing? I'm doing my term paper because I promised my mother I'm going to graduate from Davidson. And during the playoffs 2 years ago, he's doing his term paper on the road, finishing it. Can't make this up.
Can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up.
I wish you did your term paper at KU a long time ago.
I couldn't do them online. I had to turn them in physically to the professor because the internet wasn't around when I was at Kansas.
I know it's hard to exactly.
It's a different time. By the way, we have not been able to do this for a couple of years on a regular basis. When last you and I were doing the regular Gordy Chiesa segments on ESPN 700 on the Bill Riley Show, the Charlotte Hornets were a joke. They were terrible. They were a laughingstock. Gordy, how did the Charlotte Hornets become what? I'm not going to say one of the best teams, but one of the most entertaining teams and a good playoff team in the NBA.
Very much. One, coaching by Charles Lee. Absolutely. He's the guy that turned that around. Bill's alluding to right now, the Hornets, is that if they can win on Friday night at Orlando, it'll be their first appearance in the NBA playoffs in 10 seasons. Bill, let's put it in context. The guy or the girl is a Charlotte fan living in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they're 16 years old, Bill. They're going to their junior prom, Bill, like you did one time in your life. And suddenly, they never went to the playoff game. They went to the prom, didn't go any playoff game for 10 years. At age 26, Bill, they finally might go to a playoff game. I'm putting it in context, Bill, and guys like your life.
Well, I can remember when Steph's dad, Dell, was a sharpshooter for the then Charlotte Hornets. I can remember when Alonzo Mourning was playing for the Charlotte Hornets.
And Muggsy Bogues.
And Muggsy Bogues was playing for the Charlotte Hornets. That was about the last time they were a consistently good franchise. Now you've got LaMelo Ball, Con Knippel, who's been a find for them as a first-year rookie. Brandon Miller coming out of Alabama a couple of years ago, despite all the stuff that was swirling around him. He's turned into a good player. Bridges, Moussa Diabate. Then they've got good players coming off the bench, too. This is again, I don't know how far they'll go, but they are a wildly entertaining and fun team to watch.
Very much. Also, Bill, they hit the jackpot as far as off the bench for a big guy. Ryan Kohlbrenner from Creighton.
Yeah.
That guy was the 34th pick of the draft. And so, again, for the listeners on ESPN Radio 700, I know you go bonkers over the NBA draft. Oh, by the way, if you're not drafting 1, 2, 3, or 4, the other guys can't play. Oh, really? Do you believe that theory? Because we can recite without boring people so many great players after that. So Ryan Kohlbrenner, who's a developing young player, he gives them another big guy. And Bill mentioned Moussa Diabate. He played at. He's a Frenchman. He played at Michigan. Most people don't know his name. And Diabate can play. He gets in a game and he hustles. He plays hard. Doesn't know any better. And he's helped them tremendously. And the last point about that, we left out Sion James from Duke.
Yep.
Off the bench. So all these guys are contributing. It's really a fun story. And here's the great debate, Bill. Who's the Rookie of the Year?
We'll talk about that when we get back. Gordy will have a list for us when we get back. I've got some text questions for Gordy when we get back. It is the Gordon Chiesa Hour on the Sean O'Connell Show. We are 1 hour in, 2 hours to go on this Thursday. Great to be with you from the downtown Broadway Media Studios and on the 50,000-watt blowtorch. This is ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Riley in for O'Connell today. Sean will be back next week. I appreciate him letting me sit in. I really appreciate my buddy Gordy Chiesa making it all the way down from stately Chiesa Mansion at the south end of the valley to come in studio today to talk some NBA basketball with us.
Oh, that's so funny. Bill, you and Niles Barkley are both crazy.
We are.
You say that. Yeah,
we are.
So,
another Gordy Chiesa favorite.
Bill, you keep alluding to that. I don't know nothing about anything, including basketball.
See, you're reading way too much into this.
You keep reading. It's.
You're very sensitive about this. I know you are a man about town and a man of
True.
many musical tastes and likes.
True. However, I do like also the NBA playoffs, Bill, which start this weekend. And it's going to be outrageous.
All right, is there who do you? We're not going to dive deep into this because we don't have a full show to do this. But tell me who you like in the East and why. Who comes out of the East and why?
Celts.
Okay, why?
One, because they're a seasoned team. They defend, they make threes, and they have the bookend forwards that can score against great defense trying to guard them. They can outdo them as far as playing. And then Derek White is that unbelievable all-around player that we talked about earlier, that the Jazz need guys like that are two-way players that can start. So Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Derek White, and then they got Bill, the former Pac-10 performer of Peyton Pritchard. As far as him, he's emerged tremendous for them. And they got Vucevic back right now. Luke Garson, all the other guys, Cato from Utah State. I love their team.
Is it their championship pedigree, the fact that they've been there and done that with a lot of the guys in this group, like Tatum and Brown and others? Or why is it that you like them more than – is it because Detroit hasn't been there before and they have to kind of prove themselves?
Yes, that's exactly right. No,
60 wins.
I know.
60 wins.
All right, however.
Okay.
All right, here's the however. Now – because it is tanking by 10 teams in the NBA, that I know it tells us that teams have 60 wins. But one-third of the league, the last, Bill, 25 games of the season, didn't want to play at all. And so I'm saying that, just generally speaking, it's not the teams that won. It's not their fault. It's not. But a 60-win team on a regular NBA where teams want to compete, more like 57, 56.
Okay.
So just generally speaking, I'll put it in context, Bill. This past year, the NBA set a record for the most teams to lose 50 games or more in the history of the NBA. There was 10 teams that lost 50 games or more. Add to that. Besides the 10 teams that lost 50 games or more, another record was set. There was 5 teams that lost 60 games or more. Bill, 60 games or more, 5 teams are. Quickly, here they are. The Wizards had 65 losses, Pacers 63 losses, the Nets 62 losses, the Jazz 60 losses, and the Kings 60 losses. Bill, records.
I want to ask you this, and then we'll find out who you like in the West coming out, and then we'll take some text questions here. How much damage do you think the NBA has done to its product and its reputation among fans with the last couple of years of this extreme tanking? As you just said, 5 60-loss teams, 10 teams that have been openly not even making any really, trying to make any excuse. They are just openly trying to tank. How much do you think they've hurt their reputation? How much do you think they've hurt their kind of the image and product to the average fan that watches the product, either goes to games or watches on TV?
It's hurt them very much. But we add to that, oh, by the way, Bill, viewership's up the last 3 years, record numbers. So people are still watching the games, but they're not going to games because the prices are so high, just philosophically.
Okay.
And so suddenly the people that are corporate boxes and stuff, they're still going, but the fans aren't going as much. So they're watching it at home. So the new business partners, as far as the TV networks, they're ecstatic over it. But the fan base, as far as going to the game, is lesser. So that is the problem right now. Again, Bill, pitcher in the NFL, who we all love, pitcher not playing to win an NFL game, you would get hurt.
Well, it's a different sport. It's true. Yeah. It's a different sport. It's a different game. You don't see that in the NFL. But with that being said, Yeah, you wouldn't see it. It's just a different mentality and mindset. You cannot play that game that same way.
Hockey.
No
way. So basketball, they know it, and Adam Silver, he knows it, and that's why they're going to address it for the listeners right now. On May 28th, the Board of Governors, which is basically all the owners are coming together, and they're going to finalize next year's rules as far as eliminating dramatically tanking. In other words, there'll be punitive damages, either money or draft picks, etc.
Do you think it will work?
Yes. Yeah. The second you take away draft picks from a team, that's everybody's attention. Oh, we're going to fine you $25 million. I know it's a lot of money, but to some of the owners, it's not. But the second you take away draft picks, future.
You probably have to do both, don't you? Draft picks and money?
Yes, both. And that's when it gets more level. Again, all you want to do is have a level playing field, and may the best teams win based on the players performing, the coaches doing a great job, and management acquiring players that have winning games. It sounds so elementary, but it's not.
All right, so you like Boston out of the East, not the Pistons, not the Knicks, not the Cavaliers. In the West, 260-win teams, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the San Antonio Spurs. You've also got a team like the Nuggets who've got maybe the best player in the world in Jokic when he's healthy and on his game. And they've also, by the way, won 12 in a row going into the offseason. Who do you like in the West?
Denver.
Really?
Yes, Denver.
Okay. Right, tell me more.
Well, if you mentioned one best player in the world, and Nikola Jokic, I mean, he's impossible to guard. And people say all the time about Jokic, doesn't like basketball. That's not true. Doesn't like fame. It's a big difference. Jokic loves basketball, doesn't like the fame of basketball. So when you see him all the time, he wants to go back to his native country, that you don't like basketball. That's not true. It's like a myth. And so I love about Jokic and the Denver Nuggets is that they have talent. Aaron Gordon was hurt during the year. Now he's back now. Christian Brown was hurt. Now he's back now. Bruce Brown has played tremendous for them. Peyton Watson, been tremendous for them, has helped them. So I like an upset, the Denver Nuggets. Now, I know they got to play the Spurs in the second round. Here's the quick metrics. We've had 7 straight different champions in a row. All 7 of those teams thought in the war room after they won it, they're going to repeat. And none of them did. Add to that, the defending champion lost in the second round, Bill, 7 straight years. The defending champion lost to that. That's the metric tells us. And what's the reason why? 1, the other guys are good you play against. And 2, weird thing in the playoffs, injuries happen or lucky bounces happen to the opposition, and it's not your year sometime. And the last part of it is what? The matchups. It's who you play against. And so the Thunder are great. They defend the ball. They have unbelievable talent level. Their bench is deep. I'm saying that the Denver Nuggets could beat them, and also the upstart Spurs. And we'll see if the Nuggets if Nuggets get past the first round. By the way, the Nuggets have lost to the T-Wolves back-to-back years, though. So as far as they've beaten them. And so the learning point about that is that even at that, they're all really elite teams. They have star players. So here's the question, the last point about this. Can our 3 best players on our team outplay in the fourth quarter the other 3 best players on their team? So it comes down to the 3 best guys on your team. They have to be two-way players in the fourth quarter to get stops defensively, block shots, and most of all, score the ball on a short clock.
Who is Denver's 3rd best player? Because we'll say Jokic, clearly their best. We'll say Jamal Murray, their 2nd best. Who's their 3rd best player? Is it Gordon? Is it Brown? Is it Cam Johnson? Who would you say is their 3rd best player?
Aaron Gordon.
Okay.
Yeah, Aaron Gordon.
Because of his versatility?
Versatility, absolutely. He's a threat. And whenever he makes an open jump shot from 3-point shots, I yell out, hallelujah.
So Denver against Boston. Who do you like?
Boston.
Okay.
Boston.
Good series?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And remember, it's not a series until it goes 6 games. Even though a team might play hard and the games are really close, If you lose 4-1, I call it was a playoff skirmish. All right? So when it goes 6 games, it's really a series. And that's when you dislike strongly the other team. So you play against the same guy guarding you, fouling you, tripping you, elbowing you in the head. You dislike that person, Bill, very, very immensely. Oh, by the way, Bill, I love you, dog.
All right, love you too, dog. You want to answer a few text questions before we get to our list of the day?
Yeah, very much.
All right, let's do this. Tom says, Gordy, JJJ wasn't on my bingo card for Jazz trades, but do you think they'll make another trade around the draft?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, because they have best second unit guys. It's possible, yeah. That week of the draft, they can make trades, yes.
This one in from Tom. Tom says, hey, Bill, Gordy's too conservative on the Jazz. The Jazz are a 5 or a 6 seed next year and legit contenders the following year. Go Mammoth. That might be that might be a bit aggressive.
No, hey, it could happen. I'm saying more. Let's go. The Jazz right now, they won 22 games. If they win 43 games next year, they'll be playoff. That'd be great. Plus 21. That's wonderful.
Hey, Bill, can you ask Gordy what he thinks of the NBA's anti-tanking proposals and the ideas that have been floated around? Do you like them?
I do, yeah. Just quickly, they're going to try to flatten out. They're going to flatten out the odds where the 6 teams in the East that made the playoffs right away and 6 in the West, those 12 are now part of the lottery. The other remaining 18 teams will be a part of the lottery. And after the first 4, it's the exact same as far as odds, as far as getting it. It makes a lot of sense. I go one step further. Why not have all 18 teams have one ball in it, and that's it?
Wow, just one.
Just one. Yeah, keep it simple. So there's no tanking. Bill, just one. In other words, just say
so the 18th team has the same chance as the worst team.
That's correct.
Okay.
So there's no tanking. Zero. None.
Okay.
Zero.
Matt wants to know, Gordy, is AJ who played in Provo the real deal?
Yeah, very much.
Okay.
Absolutely. He'll be the first pick of the draft. I love his game. He's team-orientated. He's special. The way he plays the game, how he conducts himself, and he can create his own shot. So off the dribble, that is absolutely critical. I've seen him play live. So he reminds me really of former NBA player Tracy McGrady. But in the present tense, he reminds me of younger version of Paul George, Brandon Ingram, or Jalen Williams of the Thunder. That's who he plays like. He's a shot maker. He can create his own for his teammates. He plays defense, and he's got that it factor in him. I love him.
He's a great player. I got to see him in person twice this year, and his best quality this year was he played a lot and played hard. There were some of those guys that didn't play a lot and didn't play hard. He did. William Jacobson says, hey, Bill, welcome back. Thanks, William. I think we all know who the Jazz are going to take if they get that number 1 pick. Well, yeah. Who do you want to see them take if they land the 3, 4, or 5, or 6 spots? Gordy, give a couple of names from like 3 to 6 that the Jazz could look at.
Okay. Acuff.
Okay.
Wilson from Carolina.
Caleb Wilson.
Yeah, he should be there. Fleming from Houston.
I like him.
Very good.
You know what I like about him? He played for Kelvin Sampson, which means he had to play hard and had to be tough and had to guard a little bit. Wasn't a great guard, but he guarded a little bit for a freshman.
Yeah, very much. Also, let's go back to 1 second, BYU. All right, Richie Saunders, that guy's good. All right, it's so unfortunate he tore his ACL, and it set back the Cougars very much. All right, he's fiery. That guy can make shots. So he should be picked in the second round. I'm just guessing, Bill, between 43 to 53. All right? And then once they do the intel on his knee to see where it's at as far as the rehab of it, I'm sure he's a hard worker as far as making injury, as far as trying to get it as strong as he can. Richie Son reminds me of, in the NBA right now, comparison would be Sam Hauser of the Celtics, A.J. Green of the Bucks, and Sam Merrill of the Cavs. That's who he plays like. And they're all good players in the NBA.
Is Keaton Wagler a point guard in the NBA? Kid from Illinois?
Yeah.
He's 6'6".
I know.
He sees the floor really well.
I know.
You think he's a point guard?
Yes.
Okay.
I do, yes. So it's going to be a great draft. By the way, every draft is good. Every draft is good because there'll be guys at late first round that the doomsayers say what the guy can't do, and suddenly in the NBA he emerges.
All right, I'm going to give you a hypothetical here. The Jazz are picking at number 5. They don't get in the top 4. They're at number 5. You have the option to take Keaton Wagler, Darius Acuff, or Caleb Wilson.
Caleb Wilson.
Okay.
Carolina.
Where do you play him?
I'm taking him.
Okay, I know he's a talent, but where do you play him once you take him?
The running 4-man.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm taking him without any hesitation.
So he backs up Jaren Jackson.
Yeah, or backs up Larry Markkinen.
Okay, 3. So you're seeing him as a 3 or a 4 then.
Absolutely. Okay. I love his game. He hurt. He broke his wrist.
So you'd rather have him than a point guard like Wagler, who's 6'6", a true point guard.
Yes.
Okay.
But I do like both.
Okay.
And again, it's all hypothetically. The draft is I call it the great unknown. Bill, it's the unknown. But I know one thing right now is that these NBA playoffs, Bill, when it starts right now, it's a man's league. So you have to be tough in the NFL and the NBA. The teams that advance, Bill, they're ruthless.
Another hypothetical for you. You don't have the number 1 pick. A.J. DeBonce is going to go number 1. But you have the number 2 pick. Are you taking Darren Peterson or Cameron Boozer? I'm making Gordy think now. He's got a thinking, pensive look on his face.
Yes. Peterson.
You're gonna roll the dice a little bit, assuming the medicals are. We're going to assume the medicals are okay, that he doesn't have any physical issues,
right, and also the intel. The intel about him around him. Who's his people?
Yeah.
Who's his family? It's all part of the equation. And remember, Ace Bailey's a wonderful person. The guy's wonderful. Everybody tells me that coaches him, saying he's really a great young man. And the intel about him, well, he doesn't want to come here. Oh, it says who? Said his agent and said, remember, a lot of times there's misinformation about players. So it's your job as people on the personnel side to really go deep, dig into it. That's your job, to get accurate intel.
One more question, then we'll get your list of the day today. This question: how can Gordy determine how good the Jazz defense is if they haven't put their best team out there and asked them to play hard? Isn't defense mostly effort?
Yes, it's effort and technique. Yeah, the answer is that's.
But shouldn't you as a pro always play hard?
Oh, my, Bill. Bill, you give me a headache. I'm having an out-of-body experience right now. Bill, I can hardly talk.
Okay.
All right, the answer is you'd hope that. But remember, defense is based on effort and technique and toughness. And it's such an intangible that most players want a tangible result, meaning what? But defense is intangible. But that's how you win. And the better teams, they play defense, whether it's the Thunder right now, the Celtics. And that's part of the problem with the Nuggets, Bill. I'm picking them, but their defense is only average. So they've got to act out of character in the playoffs and get a better defense.
Many years ago, Gordy and I talked about ranking different things, and I asked him to come up with a list for me when he came back on the air. This was probably 10 years ago. Ever since then, every appearance without fail that Gordy Chiesa has made on ESPN 700, whether the Bill Riley Show or the Sean O'Connell Show or any show that he's done, he has come armed with a list. Gordy Chiesa, I ask you today, dog, and I love you, dog, what is our list of the day today?
The list today, Bill, is most NBA titles won by a franchise. I cut it off at 4. So 4.
So is this a top 10 list or just a top 4 list?
No, it involves a lot of teams.
Okay.
Because they won 4 championships. All right. With 4 championships, the Miami Heat, pardon me, say it again. Excuse me. With 3 championships, the Miami Heat with 3. The last one being 2013. And do you realize the Heat started as a franchise startup back in 1988 and 89? They also been in 4 finals. So in their career, they've been in 3 championships, they won it, and 4 NBA finals. Detroit Pistons, Fort Wayne Pistons. They moved from Fort Wayne to Detroit for the 1957-58 season. They also have 3 NBA titles, and 4 times they lost in the NBA finals. Next area, the 76ers, Philadelphia, and the Warriors and the Syracuse Nationals. They have 3 NBA titles and lost in the finals 6 times. The last time they were in the NBA, they won the championship, was 1983. Next one, the San Antonio Spurs. They have 5 titles. The last one was 2014. They also lost in the finals 1 time back in 76-77. All right? Next one, Golden State Warriors. Also, the San Francisco Warriors right now. They moved from Philadelphia to California back in 1962. They have 5 NBA championships. The last title was 2022. They also lost in the finals 3 times. Next one, Chicago Bulls. They started an expansion franchise. The first year was 1966-67.
Chet the Jet Walker.
That's right, and also young Jerry Sloan, or the former Jazz coach and my friend and colleague. The Bulls won 6 championships. We know about that. The last one being 1998. They've never lost an NBA final. Next one, second all time, the L.A. Minneapolis Lakers. They won 17 NBA championships, and Bill, they lost also 15 times in the NBA finals. So they've been
to 32.
32.
Wow.
So the Lakers have been to the finals 32 times in their career. The last one being a championship was 2020. And this question all the time is asked, why do they call Lakers? And the reason why is they moved from Minneapolis, which is called the Twin City, and the land of 10,000 lakes, back in the 1960-61 season, where they played also with late Hot Rod Hundley, played on that team. All right, the number 1 team in the history of NBA basketball with the most titles is the Boston Celtics. The original NBA format was 1946-47. The Celtics have won 18 NBA titles, including the last title was 2024, and they lost in the finals 5 times. So, Lakers 17. The Celtics went above them at number 18. Jazz basketball. They've never been in the NBA as far as championships, but the Jazz were twice, for the young listeners, went to the NBA Finals back in 1997 and 98.
A young Gordon Chiesa on the bench.
That's exactly right. And here's the last point about this. The following NBA franchises have never been to the NBA Finals, Bill. Now, as far as winning a championship. They are the Brooklyn Nets, never won a championship, the Charlotte Hornets, Indiana Pacers, L.A. Clippers, Memphis Grizzlies, Minnesota Timberwolves, New Orleans Pelicans, Phoenix Suns, and the Utah Jazz.
What about the Sacramento Kings?
And Sacramento Kings. Correct. Sacramento Kings. Yes. So those teams have all not been ever champions. Thus, that's my list for today.
It's a good list, Gordy.
Celtics, 18, Bill.
I know. And in your mind, maybe number 19 this year.
Could be, yeah. It should be.
That's what you just picked them 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, it could be, absolutely. Bill, how about the NFL champions? What do you think?
This coming year?
Yes.
I mean, I'll defer to my Kansas City Chiefs if Patrick Mahomes gets healthy. Yes. But there's a lot of teams. That's the beauty of the NFL. You could sit here today and say there's probably 8 or 9 teams that could win the Super Bowl next year. I don't think when you come into an NBA season, this year was a little bit different. I think you come into an NBA season and say maybe 4 teams could win an NBA title, maybe 5. Agree?
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And again, by the way, who's your quarterback?
Exactly.
And so much is so important. And by the way, in the NBA,
who's your superstar?
That's exactly right.
It's not quite the same. Your quarterback's usually your superstar, but in the NBA, it is most definitely who's your superstar.
Who can make baskets in the fourth quarter, under a minute left, or make plays to will a team to win? And that's Steph Curry as far as in the play-in tournament right now.
Speaking of superstars, who's your MVP?
Nikola Jokic.
He's so good. I was at the Denver game a couple of weeks ago when they were here in town, and when you watch that guy play in person, it's really impressive how much he controls a game. He is absolutely in control of the game on both ends of the floor for the Nuggets.
Very much. So let's put it in context quickly. I know we have to up to the break right now. Is that Jokic played this year 65 games. 34 times he had triple doubles. 34. So more than half the games he played this year hit a triple double. And let's put it in context. Karl Malone, who's MVP of the league twice in his career with the Jazz, had 4 triple doubles. And John Stockton, who was an absolutely great player in his whole career, John had one triple-double. One in 19 years. Jokic got 34 this season. So, but Shea is great also. So my instincts tell me that Shea's going to win the MVP again, which he's deserving also, but I would go towards Jokic.
I think I would go toward Jokic as well, but boy, I would love to have Shea Gilgeous-Alexander on my team. That, folks, is my friend, the NBA insider, my dog of many years, Gordon Chiesa, brought to us today by Aladdin Industries. So good to see you, man, about town. Let's go grab some lunch, shall we?
Yes, we will. Thanks, Bill. Peace out.
There he is. Peace out to Gordy Chiesa. We'll have more coming back on the other side, some text messages. We'll talk some Utah football, top of the hour. We'll even talk some with Jordan Wynn. Some hockey. We know who the Mammoth are playing in the opening round and when. It's the Golden Knights on Sunday in Vegas. Mike Folta will join us at about an hour as well. Here on the Sean O'Connell Show, hosted by Bill Riley today, in for Sean on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. All right, a little daily dump for you. We'll start with a little bit of hockey. We know that the Golden Knights will host the Mammoth Sunday, game one of that series, the opening round of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs involving the Mammoth. Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. We don't have a time as of yet. At least we didn't a little while ago. Mike Fulton might have some more news for us when he joins us in about an hour here on the program today. But that goes. And then, James, fill me in again. What's the first game? What's the first Stanley Cup playoff game here on ESPN 700?
So this will be our third year having the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs via Sports USA. We started that the season you left, Bill.
No, my last year, I ushered that in with you, and then I departed.
So when right about when you left was the first time we got the NHL playoffs when they announced the Mammoth coming to town. So Saturday at 3:00, we'll have game one of the Wild versus the Stars. We may even have some national broadcasts of Mammoth games in the first round. Let's go. So we'll get more of the schedule later. But Wild versus Stars game one, 3:00 on Saturday will be our first playoff game here on ESPN 700.
There is nothing better than playoff hockey, and you'll be able to hear it right here on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. And, of course, the Mammoth in action in the opening round as they take on the Vegas Golden Knights. I guess maybe at some point we get a little regional rivalry developing there with either Vegas or Colorado. You hope that probably develops at some point in time. You got to get good. You got to play some meaningful games. We all know that from the days of the Pac-12 conference where the Pac-12 tried its darndest to make Utah and Colorado a rival, and it really was never there. You've got to get that. Got to get those meaningful games, and maybe this is the first time. Maybe a playoff game or two could be meaningful and create a little Las Vegas and Salt Lake City rivalry. We shall see, but that's coming up here beginning this weekend. And, of course, the Mammoth play their final regular season game downtown tonight at the Delta Center against the St. Louis Blues. That's an ESPN broadcast tonight, and that's a 5:30 start time on ESPN, so you'll be able to see that coming up a little bit later on tonight on the Mothership. A little bit of college basketball transfer portal news today. Utah's got a bunch of visitors that have come through in the last week or so. I know Alex and Wes and the staff are working hard and grinding there. But a former Ute today committed to a pretty big-time program. Keanu Dawes committed to the University of Kansas this morning to continue his college basketball career. Multiple reports coming out of Kansas, including the Kansas City Star, says that Dawes committed to Kansas. To me, that's a little surprising. It'll be interesting to see how Bill Self and his staff view Keanu. Very happy for that young man. He was a great kid while he was here. Decided to hit the portal a couple of weeks back and has apparently committed to play his basketball next at the University of Kansas. We'll see where some of these other guys land up, too. I'm not sure that anybody else in that Utah class that left in the portal will land at a bigger program than Kansas, but Keanu Dawes is now officially a Jayhawk. And this is kind of old news. It came down yesterday, but BYU got a return commitment from Rob Wright. A little bit surprising. When he went in the portal, I thought that Rob was probably going to be bound for someplace else, but he made some visits, talked to some people, and decided what was best for him was coming back to Provo. So that's a good get for BYU to go along with Colin Chandler and the young man Branch they've got coming into the recruiting freshman class. So that's transfer portal news as of today as well. And of course, coming up tonight, we've got a little NBA, or I should say coming up tomorrow night, a little bit of NBA playoff action. Friday night, Charlotte and Orlando, Golden State and Phoenix. As the play-in tournament continues on, Charlotte and Orlando are on Prime Video, and Golden State and Phoenix are also on Prime Video, 5:30 and 8 o'clock respectively. Coming up there, and just a reminder for you, also tomorrow night, if you can't make it up to the ballpark, a little Utah baseball. I'll have the call tomorrow night as Utah takes on Texas Tech in baseball at Charlie Montford Field at America First Ballpark. Those games all weekend long. Myself and Bill Kenneberg will be on ESPN+. You can come up and watch them, too, if you haven't been out to the new ballpark yet. But it's a beautiful place. And if you'd like to come out, get some tickets and come on out. 5 o'clock tomorrow night, then afternoon baseball. Or, I'm sorry, 6 o'clock tomorrow night, and then afternoon baseball coming up on Saturday and Sunday for Utah. and Texas Tech. So that's your daily dump today. Still can't get used to saying that. It sounds very, Brought to you by Valley Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Look for the truck with the duck. That's Valley Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, the sponsor of the Daily Dump. Got a couple of other text messages that have drifted in today. If you're just tuning in, I threw a question out earlier today with spring football coming to a close and us being 140 days until kickoff of the 2026 college football season. My question for you is, what's your expectation for the upcoming season for Utah football? Slightly improved, about the same, or maybe a slightly regression, and why? Just kind of give me your thoughts, and we'll kind of go in that direction today. 877-353-0700 if you want to do that. And we'll read them as we go here today and kind of get in that direction too. So feel free to do so. Text message in from 9708. Cannot be more excited about Bill being back on the 50,000-watt blowtorch. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. This one in from Remington. Says, I truly believe we're going to have a significant improvement from last year. This due to our big offensive weapons returning, defense always strong, and I think special teams going to take a huge step forward as well, plus all the new coaching additions, new energy from Scally brings to the team. Well, that's great. It's hard to have a significant improvement over an 11-2 season. That's why I said slightly improved, because you were 11-2 a year ago. You were a whisker away from playing in the Big 12 title game and being a college football playoff team. That's why I just said slightly improved. But if you want to go significantly improved, I'll let you do so. It's your text. Feel free to do so. 877-353-0700. Text message in from Derek. I'm sorry, but I can't get behind Gordy's Caleb Wilson love. If we take him over a point guard or a wing, it will be a wasted pick in my opinion. That's your opinion. There are people that like Caleb Wilson a lot and like his upside. This text in says, hey, Bill. Great to hear you and Gordy together. Can you see the Jazz doing whatever is needed to move up and pick DeBonsa? Well, you're going to have to get to number one probably to do that. And I'm not sure what it would take to do that. So probably win the lottery is what it would have to take to do that. Ryan Davidson says, win the thing. The standard is the standard. Are we talking about Utah football or something else? Ryan, thank you for the text message. 877-353-0700. Let's grab a quick break. More text messages on the way. We'll give you a leaderboard update on what's going on at the RBC. Also, we'll have a special guest pop on with us. Jordan Wynn's going to join us in about 15 minutes to talk some Utah football. And then Mike Fulton to preview the playoffs and the final game tonight of the regular season for the Mammoth. All coming up straight ahead on Utah's #1 sports talk and home of the Utes, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. All right, let's get you a leaderboard update. It's not quite as exciting as it was a week ago with the Masters and Rory winning his second one, but the PGA Tour moves along. It's a train that keeps on moving down the track. Leaderboard update of the RBC Heritage and round number 1 today as they play at Hilton Head Island. Brought to you by Uinta Golf. Swing into Uinta Golf for the new Titleist Vokey SM11 wedges. The new Vokey SM11 wedges are tour-inspired. They have you optimize flight, improve spin performance, and tour-level grinds at Uinta Golf. So, leaderboard update, they're playing at Hilton Head Island this weekend. It's the RBC Heritage. It's a big tournament. Harbortown Links is where they play it. They used to call it Harbortown. Justin Thomas won it a year ago. $20 million purse. Woo! That is a big purse. Week after the Masters, your round 1 leader in the clubhouse with a 63, Ludwig Oberg. 8 under 63 today. Harris English, a shot back in the clubhouse at 64. Victor Hovland also shot a 64 today. Ryan Fox is on the course through 16. He's at 7 under par, so he's got a chance to threaten the lead or go and be your clubhouse leader. Michael Brennan, 6 under 65. Gary Woodland, a fellow Jayhawk. We didn't go to school together. He's much younger than I am. But Gary Woodland is a really cool story. And you should read up on it just a little bit. He had a major brain injury and has come back. He's been dealing with a lot of demons associated with that. But he got his first tour win earlier this year in a couple of years. And he's 6 under today, 65 and in a clubhouse. Sunjay M is 5 under 66. Seb Straka also 5 under 66. Ricky Fowler 5 under through 14 holes today at Harbortown in Hilton Head Island. And there you go. That is your leaderboard update brought to you by our friends at Uinta Golf. We'll have another leaderboard update for you coming up next hour. They'll have more for you coming up tomorrow as well. It's only Thursday. Kind of feels like a Friday because I usually sit in here on a Friday, but not this week around. A couple of more text messages coming in today. We'll talk to Jordan Wynn coming up after the top of the hour. I asked, do you think Utah football, as we said, 140 days out, and the roster mostly said there could still be some additions here and there, but spring football wrapping up this week. Do you think we see a slight improvement? Do you think we see the program about the same as it was a year ago, or maybe a slight regression? This text comes in from Texter 2086. Says, hey, Bill, my prediction for Utah is around the 8 to 10 win mark. So the range about the same. Getting Devin and Bird back will be big for this team. Also, basketball's a little concerned about the lack of transfer portal commitments. Hopefully they can get some here in the near future. Really want to see Utah basketball back again. No, the portal's been open for just over a week now. You haven't seen a ton of commitments out there. I can tell you they're working really, really hard. And you're going to see probably commitments popping here in the very near future. What should give you hope for a Utah as a Utah basketball fan is they've been at this thing for a full year now. And they have been dedicated to this roster build for the last half of the season looking ahead. So I think you're going to begin to see some of that stuff coming real soon. Text in from Spencer. Hey, Bill, can I still buy some riled up red ale? Yes, you can, but it's not red ale anymore. It's an amber ale now. They just call it riled up. But you can buy it at your neighborhood favorite, the Proper Brewing Company. So head downtown. You can pick it up at Proper Brewing Company. Shout out to Andrew and his guys down there for producing that still and being so kind to me over the years. 877-353-0700. Text message here. Hey, Bill, glad to hear your voice again. I'm hoping for an improved season from Utah from last year. Number 1, beat BYU. Number 2, win the Big 12 championship. Number 3, a playoff win would be a cherry on top for me. Well, I think to win a Big 12 championship, you're going to have to beat BYU probably somewhere along the line. Whether that's in the regular season, in the postseason, or both, that's probably going to be the case. But, they were 11-2 last year. I know there was some disappointment of losing to BYU and Provo and not making the Big 12 championship game, but an 11-2 season was still pretty darn good. It was a good Big 12 last year. And I really do say, and I say this all the time, I think the difference between the top 3 teams is very negligible. I really do. I think the difference between Tech, BYU, and Utah it's very slim. I think these teams are all close, clumped very close together. This texter says, hey, Bill, I really don't know it seems like the offensive staff dropped off a little bit and the offensive talent got better. It went very well maybe offset the players execute for slightly better improvement. I'm feeling confidence that 9 wins is the floor with the home schedule and the opponents. We could very well see about the same as last year. The only thing I'm certain about at the moment is hearing you back on the radio today. Well, that's true. That is a certainty because I've been on now for an hour and 53 minutes. But thank you for that. By the way, I think that's fair. If you say 9 wins is the floor for this team, I'm assuming you're saying 9 regular season wins. That's a very good floor to be at. I think that they're a 10 to 11 win team this year. I do with the schedule that they have. I know I'm an optimist. I know people think I'm a homer. I'm not. I just really believe in what this team is, and they were so very close a year ago. Morgan says we just have to beat BYU this year. I can't take another loss. Well, I appreciate that. That's the rivalry game. You always want to beat your rival, but you want to have a good season too. I think if they beat BYU but had a losing record, Morgan, I don't think you'd be necessarily happy with that. Lincoln Merrill says going to be a bumpy start to the season. We will have a lot of promise moving forward. I'm not sure about that. There's going to be a lot of continuity, especially on the offensive side of the football moving forward. And the non-conference schedule isn't crazy. Idaho, they're a 1AA level program. Arkansas looks good on the schedule, but we're going to see what Arkansas has because they were a 1-8 SEC team last year, and they were 2-10 overall. It's a new coaching staff and a lot of new players. So we'll see what happens. 877-353-0700 if you want to jump in and on board today here on the Bill Riley Show. I've just simply been asking the question of you guys with 140 days until kickoff and spring football coming to a close. What are your expectations for the upcoming season? And these can change. By the way, these can change. We are 140 days out. It's mid-April, so absolutely, positively, we're 4.5 months away from the start of the season. But what are you feeling today? Slightly improved from a year ago? Maybe about the same as a year ago? Maybe a slight regression? And if so, tell me why. We'll read some of those as we go. We'll ask that same question to Jordan Wynn when he joins us coming up here in just a couple of minutes on the program. But I think slightly improved is what I'm expecting. And I think slightly improved because there's a kind of a new vibe and a new energy around the program this year. And I think the return of the quarterback and some of the real upgrades in the skill position area lead to a slightly improved season. And the reason I say slightly improved is it's hard to greatly improve over an 11-win season. So I'll say slightly improved coming up this year. Text message in from Darren. Hey, Darren. Says, Bill, it's the resident BYU fan chiming in here. How are you? Like always, especially when coming up to Rice-Eccles Stadium, the rivalry game scares the crap out of me this year. I say this, and I have said this for 25 years now. I've lived in this state 25 years coming up in June. I don't really think the venue matters when it comes to that particular game because Utah has won frequently in Provo and BYU has won in Salt Lake City. I think that game, sure, would you rather be at Rice-Eccles? Probably so, if you're Utah. Would you rather be in Provo at Lavelle Edwards if you're BYU? Probably so. But I think there is so much familiarity between the programs, and that will continue still, that I'm not sure that the location plays a huge role in it. It does for the fans. I get that part of it. But for the teams themselves, I'm not sure that it really does. Text message in from Brett at 877-353-0700. Brett says Utah will be slightly improved, but with the same record, if that makes sense. Absolutely. 10-2 regular season. You can be slightly improved with a 10-2 record. And I think 10-2 this year could be good enough to get you to the Big 12 championship game. 11-2 overall with a Big 12 championship game win will get you in the college football playoff. But yes, Brett, that does make sense. 877-353-0700. I gave you 3 names earlier if you missed the first hour of the show to kind of keep an eye on. Names heading to fall camp. One guy is a returner who was productive last year. The next guy is a new face that had production someplace else, and the other guy is a new face overall. The new face overall is Kelvin Obot. I think we all expect Kelvin Obot to have an impact on Utah football. Hearing from his head coach and having him name-check Kelvin the other day in the post-practice media session just kind of reinforced that that young man is really good and will play a role on that Utah offensive line this fall. The new guy with some production elsewhere, who I think could play a nice role this fall, is Ethan Day, the defensive end transfer from North Texas. Ethan Day is going to be in the rotation with Cash Dillon and Lance Holtzclaw as one of probably the top 3 defensive ends, I think, heading to fall camp. And then the third name, just to kind of file away, who I think will be an impact this fall, is Daniel Bray. Yeah, could I say Devin Dampier? Sure. Could I say Bird Ficklin? Sure. Could I say, Braden Pagan? But I'm giving you Daniel Bray because I think Daniel Bray might end up being your running back too, and I think is going to be used in some very creative ways. And I think from what we saw as a freshman and what we're seeing this spring, I think he's going to make a nice jump from that freshman to sophomore year. So I'll put Daniel Bray on that list of a third guy that I think could be an impact guy too. Derek says we could have a losing record, but I would still be happy as long as we beat BYU. See, that's a weird take for me. I know the rivalry game in any rivalry is important, but Utah's football standard is too high. Derek, I just don't believe that. If you are truly a big-time fan, I would say the same thing for a BYU fan. You beat Utah but had a losing record, you'd be happy. I don't believe any fan of a program. Now, it's one thing if your program's way down. Like, my alma mater, Kansas. They haven't beaten Kansas State in like 18 years. So if they ended up 6-6 or 5-7 but beat Kansas State, I bet there would be some Kansas fans that were truly happy. But I can't believe many Utah fans would say, we could have a losing record, but as long as we beat BYU, I'd be happy. That's a weird take from a fan of a program that set a higher standard. But he says, I believe will be improved all the way around, and with the schedule could very well go undefeated up to the Big 12 championship game. That text message is kind of all over the place. Jordan Wynn coming up here in a minute. One more text message. Hey, Bill, I think we're on our way to a great season, maybe 11-1, 12-0. Hope to see the ball to the big tight end out of Modern Day. Let him rumble. Can't wait. Sammy. Yeah, that could be fun. He is a viral and social media sensation right now. All right, before we go to break, let's check in with Charles Clinton. He's down at Toanoak Vista Golf Course, and they've got a lot of good stuff going on right now. Charles, how are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm great. Cold today, but we're here.
All right, tell me a little bit about the course, what people need to know about the upcoming tournaments, hotel discounts, golf discounts, all that stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're looking to get away from the hustle and bustle of Salt Lake, crowded courses and everything, get out here and come play during the week. A lot of times you can get out and play as a twosome, sometimes even as a single. The wildlife, the antelope are starting to show up for the season, so they're kind of cool out there. And if you run into any geese, you can take as many as you want. No extra charge.
I don't think anybody wants geese on their golf course, that's for sure. Where's Tawana at for people that aren't familiar?
So we are out here in West Wendover, Nevada, right where all the casinos are at. Makes a great day if you come out, play some golf during the day, go enjoy the casinos, the restaurants, and their gaming at night. They got some hotel stay and play packages. You can get some discounted rates on the golf if you're staying at the hotels there. So it makes for a good little fun trip. And we've got some upcoming tournaments. We were supposed to have our Kamikaze tournament today, but with the weather, we postponed it one more week to the 23rd. 4-person scramble. It's a very unique golf tournament. It's like a cross-country tournament. So if anybody's interested, we still have time to get signed up. It's $50 a player. So
there you go.
It includes everything.
What's the phone number? What's the website, Charles, if they're interested in getting some more information?
Our phone number is 664-4300 and go to golftawanavista.com.
Tawana Vista Golf Course, West Wendover. Great location for you to go out and play and do a little gambling at night, maybe see a show as well. Charles, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Charles Clinton from Tawana Vista Golf Course in West Wendover. Short time out, back with Jordan Wynn, former Utah quarterback. Thoughts on the spring and what lies ahead later this year from Jordan coming up here on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Riley in for O'Connell today on a Thursday. Sean's out doing some fighting stuff. He'll be back next week. Appreciate him allowing me to sit in today for him. 2 hours down, 1 hour to go. We're going to talk some playoff hockey coming up as the Mammoth will play the Golden Knights in the opening round of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs beginning Sunday in Las Vegas. Play-by-play man Mike Folta of the Mammoth will join us coming up here in about 20, 25 minutes or so here on Utah's #1 Sports Talk. Spring football winding down at the U. Final week of practice. No spring football game. just some extra practices. FanFest, or kind of, what is it, the 22 for You Fan Experience, Fan Day coming up on Saturday for fans up at the Spence Checketts Fieldhouse from 4:30 to 6. You can go up there, get autographs, meet the team, meet the staff, all that good stuff, and have some fun with that coming up on Saturday. Our next guest, he's probably happy that there's no spring football game. Probably has a little PTSD from spring football games. Friend of the program when I used to host this thing, friend in general, former Utah quarterback, Jordan Wynn, joining us here to talk a little Utah football. What's up, Jordan?
How are you? I don't want to talk about spring football games.
I didn't figure you probably did because there's probably a little PTSD there. But so you're probably not anti-Morgan Scalley, just going, let's give us an extra practice, not worry about the game, right?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Scally. Yeah, obviously not a great memory for me, but no issue there with an extra practice. I think that would be great.
Oh, no, and to be very fair, Jordan, you know this, the last probably 7, 8, 9, even maybe 10 years, the spring football game, some of your better players probably aren't even playing anyway. They're holding out half the roster anyway, so if you can get an extra practice in, they'll still have a Fan Fest day for the fans on Saturday. It's a win for everybody, I think.
Yeah, win across the board. Like you said, a lot of the guys don't even play, and as long as the fans get to hang out and interact with the players after, it's good for everybody there.
Yeah, you and I haven't talked much at all since kind of the off season and the coaching change. Obviously, I don't do the radio show anymore. We haven't bumped into each other, but as you've watched this kind of locally, but from a distance, how have you made? What have you made of the change and how Morgan's kind of brought the new staff in and added in the portal and kind of put his own spin on things this spring?
Yeah, I think with the situation how it is, there's never a perfect scenario. And so from an outside perspective, I thought everything was handled about as well as it could be. There's continual information that comes out and it is what it is, but I think it's a win across the board. I think Kyle gets to go to a program where there's certainly no shortage of tradition, resources, things of that nature, and kind of continue on with his passion and Morgan gets a fresh, it's a clean new fresh start for Utah football. And I think what he's been able to do so far, and I mean, I'm reading about him putting up his own money into the program and things like that. I mean, he's a Utah man through and through, and it's exciting to see, the impact he's already making. And, I'm, again, excited for the fall to see how he does.
There's a real energy about the program this spring. Not that there was anything wrong with the energy before, but it's just kind of a new, different vibe and energy. And I've said this before. I said, new and change, people always fight against change until you kind of experience it and say, oh, okay, that's okay. But being up there and being around this coaching staff, he's got a lot of famous and familiar names coming back, Jordan Gross, Derek Odom, guys that have been part of the program before, and some new faces too. There's a real good energy and vibe about things. I'm not sure if you've gone up to a practice or if you've been around to the any of the alumni stuff, but it's been a fun spring so far.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to get up there, but I've been here, I've heard nothing but good things. And look, everyone's a little resistant to change and what's new and the unknown. But look, I was around Scally for a long time, still talk to him. He's it's funny because Kyle he had been there for so long, right? Like everybody knew how Kyle was going to run the program. And so, Morgan brings in a fresh face. Obviously he's younger than Kyle. So, a younger individual that's coming in with a lot of passion, excitement. It's a fresh start. It's a whole new. It's new. It's fun. So it's not surprising to hear that the environment up there is following suit in that nature. And again, it's exciting to see. And you got a guy that played like his whole life is here. He grew up here. He played there. And not that Kyle didn't bleed red. Kyle's a Utah guy through and through, even though he played for the blue team a long time ago. But I mean, Morgan's as Utah as it gets. So I can't imagine it not being high energy all the time in that building right now.
Well, because you know him and he was on staff when you played there. Anybody that's been around Morgan knows how organized, how meticulous, how detail-oriented he is. And the fact that he's known this was going to be his job at some point in time, he's been planning for it. So as you kind of alluded to earlier, and I've said multiple times, this is as smooth a transition as you could have after a long-time coach was there. And now you've got a guy that's not only knows the program inside and out, was part of the program, his DNA is part of the program. He's been working towards this and preparing for this for a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, you said it. I don't know if I can't imagine many people being more meticulous and detail oriented than Morgan. I mean, the guy is, a savant when it comes to football, when it comes to defense, and it's, anybody that's paid close attention, that guy dials it up exactly at the right time more often than not, and that all comes from, the being detail oriented and being able to study and then have the confidence to kind of match that. And all those things are why he was named the coach in waiting. And gosh, like you said, you give a guy a couple of years. I know it kept kind of getting dragged on because Kyle kept coming back, but you give a guy a couple of years to really process and think about how he wants to do things and who he wants to bring in and how he wants to go about it. And then couple that with, it's a guy like Morgan Scalley. I mean, gosh, it's going to be exciting to see. And I can't imagine this isn't, almost exactly how he had it, in his head going, like working the plan out exactly how he thought it would be.
Former Utah quarterback Jordan Wynn with us here on the Sean O'Connell Show today on ESPN 700. Bill Riley sitting in for OC today. So you're a fan, but you're also an alum and a guy that bled in that program too. Just as you sit back and kind of see some of the reports and talk to some people, what has you most kind of intrigued or interested about where the program is and where it's going this spring and heading toward the fall?
Yeah, I mean, I think the buzz really is what's most interesting, and not that it was stagnant with Kyle or anything, but it's just I'm not super resistant to change. I think change is a good thing. I think change is exciting and gives you a fresh start and a fresh look at things. And so, Kyle's way was proven to be successful, year in and year out for the most part. And so, you couple that kind of consistency, Morgan being able to be a part of all that time, and now with a fresh start, fresh face, bringing in an offensive staff like how he has. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch. I think from a fan's perspective and even an alumni's perspective, anybody that knows Morgan is rooting for him. Like, I don't think there's a single guy that's not rooting for Morgan Scalley that knows him. The guy's, as good as it gets, not only as a coach, but as a person. And so I know he's going to put everything into this. And, again, I feel like it's going to be some similar talking points like we've had in the past, Bill. Like, what's the offense going to look like? Are they going to stretch the field finally? Are we going to see the scoreboard lit up? Because God knows they could play defense. So it's just, getting that other side squared away. And that's also will be new to see how Morgan handles the offense, if he wants more control or less control, and how he plays that out and how it goes. So, again, a lot of things that are new, but they're exciting to watch.
Well, I mean, Kevin McGivern's the new offensive coordinator, and talking to Kevin and talking to people that have played for or with Kevin. I had Bryson Barnes on the radio last week when I filled in for Sean. Everybody speaks glowingly about Kevin. And one thing that's very similar to me between he and even Jason Beck, who was here a year ago, is Jason was very malleable with his offense, and that's what Kyle wanted when he hired him on, wanted somebody who was pretty malleable with that offense because, as you know, Jordan, keeping guys for 3 or 4 years just doesn't happen as often anymore in collegiate athletics. But it kind of feels when I talk to people about Kevin McGivern, he's very much the same way. He's very much adjusts his offense. He knows what he wants to do, but he tweaks it to the personnel that he has. He turned Bryson Barnes, and you watch Bryson play here, into an all-conference quarterback in the Mountain West last year at Utah State. I'm really excited to see what he can do with Devin Dampier and Bert Ficklin.
Yeah, I saw what Bryson was able to do up there. Throw for, felt like 1 million yards and ran around and made plays. And so you give a coordinator some talent like there is in Dampier and Ficklin and let them roll with it. It'll be exciting to watch. Again, I think, not to take away from what Beck did, I think he was doing the best, he was calling the game the best he could with trying to maximize the talent he had and again, we've grown used to these discussions where it's like, well, like, can we put up points? They put up points last year. They had a couple games where they didn't, but they put up points last year. I don't know if it was quote unquote pretty points. They ran the ball down people's throat is what they did, and gashed people in the run game. And Dan Pierre was making plays with his legs, and so was Bird Ficklin and these guys. But it'll be interesting to see, what they do with the offense. And again, Utah State. I mean, I see their scores and follow the box scores and see what they're doing on offense. Like, it seems like they rely on people up. And I can't imagine it's not a fairly significant talent upgrade coming down here. That's not a shot against Utah State. It just is what it is. But so yeah, all those things. I'm excited to see what the offense looks like. Just like I am every year.
Yeah, me too. Same here. Me too. From a quarterback standpoint, you watched Devin play last year. And we found out after the season he wasn't 100%. Not that many quarterbacks are completely, but he was dealing with some pretty significant injuries that he was playing through last year, and was still able to put up really good numbers and lead Utah to 11 wins. Bird Ficklin certainly helped that too. But from a quarterbacking standpoint, what would you like to see in the evolution of Devin this year as he goes from his junior to senior year? And last year we saw him. The interceptions were way down from where he was at New Mexico. What's the step you'd like to see him take this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think his ability to take care of the football he does a really good job of that, right? And I think that also was part of the DNA of the program with Kyle. I mean, that was like plan to win number one was take care of the football, but we'll play great defense was plan to win number one. No, I think the only thing I'd like to see built upon is just some more shots down the field. Like, and I feel like a broken record. I feel like every year we kind of talk about this, but just the ability to take the top off the coverage. I think you look at some of these, prolific offenses in college football. What do they all do? They all take shots down the field, and you look at like what Heupel does at Tennessee, spreading people out and taking shots. I mean, they throw 4 verts like it seems like every other play. You don't need to see that at Utah, but just the ability to stretch the field. I think what's been built in the program in terms of like recruiting the front five and getting these highly talented running backs in the building and the evolution of the dual threat quarterback. Utah knows how to run the football and take care of it and play smart football and all of those things. I think from a fan's perspective, we're just waiting to see 50-yard touchdown throws, the ball traveling down the air. I mean, that was all I wanted to do when I was 19 is I'd walk into meetings with Dave Schramm and say, how many times can you call 4 verts today? Because that's all that I want to throw. I want to throw the ball as far as I can and throw touchdowns. And that's the schoolyard football that I think most fans love to watch. Like, they won 11 games last year. I still think there's a little bit left to be desired from some of the fan base in terms of the offense. And I think it's just the electrical feel of taking shots down the field. If they can put that together, whether it's Dampier, Ficklin, however that looks, I mean, God, they're talented enough. Again, sky's the limit. I don't know if the Big 12 conference, is as strong as conferences have been in the past that Utah's been in, right? I think it's pretty top heavy. And so you get past the Texas Techs and those guys down in Provo, like a clear path to the postseason.
Hey, Jordan, speaking of the deep shots, because you played for Kyle Whittingham, how much, because he liked to run the ball, he liked to protect the ball, and when you had offensive lines like he did and things like that, that's fine. But today's day and age, we see a lot more of the air-it-out game of college football. How much do you think Utah's lack of deep shots and those 4 verts or 3 verts or just taking shots down the field through the years was personnel, or was it philosophy? Or, it's probably a little bit. I mean, I know it's not one or the other, but if you had to break it down percentage-wise, was it more the coach saying, I don't want to do that, let's just take short shots and run it? Or do you think Utah hasn't necessarily had the personnel over the years to take those shots?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Again, probably a little of both. I go back like my first 2 years in particular with Dave Schramm and Aaron Roderick. We were throwing the ball downfield to Jeremy Brooks and David Reed, and we were taking shots. And again, I was sitting back saying, how far can I throw this ball? How many people can I get out of their seats and get people excited, right? And you look as the progression has gone. Like I had a clear number one always. It was David Reed, Jeremy Brooks, and then it was Devontae Christopher. All those guys could take the top off the coverage and could get downfield. Drez Anderson, another guy that could take the top off and get downfield. I don't know if they've had a guy like similar to that in a while, and maybe they have, and it just hasn't. That's where like partially some of the scheme and what Kyle would want it to be done. Like we just haven't seen that, and so I think if they can find that guy that's a true number one, like we called him the X receiver when I was playing, like a true X, a guy that's like anytime this guy is one-on-one in coverage, you're taking a deep shot to this guy. If they have that, and then you couple it with, if Morgan can, find his niche in terms of how he wants the offense to be ran and allow, the players to make plays. And not that Kyle didn't do that, but we all know Kyle wanted to run the football and win football games that way. I think if they can put that together, like that's the only thing I see missing from these teams, even like the Rose Bowl teams. Like it was so tight end heavy with Keithy and Kincaid and running the football. It's like, and partially probably because Cam had some injuries as well. But it's like if you get a guy that's healthy and then you have a receiver that can get down the field, like that's all that they need. And then this offense is so wide open because you pair that with a running game. It's really hard to defend.
Well, they appear to have that personnel. They added Braden Pagan from Utah State, began at UCLA last year, played with Kevin McGivern, had 60 catches for 926 yards. It was averaging 15 yards a catch. They added a kid from Mississippi State that came back with Chad Bumpus, who was a speed guy. Ricky Johnson, who can get down the field. Kylie Scholes was a kid at San Jose State that had over 700 yards receiving, was getting 15, 16 yards a catch last year. And then they bring back Larry Simmons, who at the end of the year last year was kind of turning into a big play guy. So it kind of feels like right now, Jordan, they've got some of those guys that in theory can stretch that defense.
Yeah, and so now it just becomes, hey, let's use them, right? Like that's, I think the best mark of an offensive coordinator is using all 11 and using the entire field. If you can do that consistently, that puts a lot of strain on a defense. And I think Morgan would even be the first to tell you that as a defensive coordinator, like what'll keep you up at night, what'll drive you nuts is the best 11 are on the field and they're using the entire field. That gets really hard to defend. And so those guys you mentioned all, it sounds like, have the capability. And so now it's just a matter of like putting them in the best situations. Now you can say that and you can call for verts all day. And if it's not open or, the protection breaks down or what have you, that's another discussion, right? Then it's, hey, we're trying to manufacture the ball down the field. It just isn't there right now. But if the plays are being dialed up, it's just a numbers game at that point. Eventually it's going to pop open and it's going to be there. And again, if you're able to stretch the field vertically paired with the running game they have and the guys that are able to recruit up front, like this offense gets, pretty scary pretty quick.
You know what's crazy, Jordan? Utah hasn't had a 1,000-yard wide receiver in 13 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy.
Drez Anderson, 1,002 yards. In 2013 was the last 1,000-yard wide receiver.
Yeah, that's wild. And that's the piece that's missing, right? If you have even just getting close to that, right? Like if you can get a guy that's even upwards of like 800-900 yards and 8 to 10 plus touchdowns, like that's a true number one receiver. If you have a true number one, like it's hard to defend. You effectively can't leave that guy on an island at all, or he's going to beat you. And again, that was Drez Anderson, that was Devontae Christopher for me, that was David Reed, that was Jeremy Brooks, and then Coach Ram and Rod were dialing it up and letting us throw the ball all over the place. And so I'm hoping they can find that again, because I think, gosh, it seems like it's 13 years. It's been 13 years since we've had it, and if that's there, that piece is there, it just creates problems for opposing defenses.
Well, I'll say this. If they got similar production out of Pagan and Scholes that they put up last year. If you got a 950 and a 750-yard receiver, that's to me that's just as good because you're getting two guys that are uber productive.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you have two guys with that kind of production, again, that's using the whole field, right? Stretching the field both vertically and horizontally. And, you know, football is just a numbers game. There are a lot of people that like to overcomplicate it. It's like, are there more guys in coverage? Then run the ball. Are there more guys in the box? Then throw the ball. If there are two good guys that are good at catching the ball and running routes, and one of them has one guy on him, then you go to that guy. You know, it's not. It doesn't need to be this crazy thing. It's like just put the guys in the right spaces, find the one-on-one matchup, and let them go play like, you know, anybody that's played football from when they're a little kid. And you go out with your friends and play one-on-one. It's like if a guy's one-on-one and he's a good athlete, you get him the football. Doesn't need to be any more complicated than that.
Well, it's hard to get the football to guys downfield if you're running for your life. And I'm not saying
that's also part of it.
Well, but that's why I wanted to ask you about the offensive line, and I'm not inferring that, but there's going to be 5 new guys. I mean, Utah was blessed the last 2 years to have 5 guys that all started together for back-to-back years. That's pretty unheard of, and all those guys may end up on NFL rosters. We know 2 of them will be drafted next week. So you tell me, Jordan Gross has got a lot of good pieces, guys that have been in the program. By the way, the thing that told me a lot about Jordan as a coach and a person, not a single one of those guys in the offensive line room hit the portal. They all stayed to play for him. Plus, he brought his 5-star kid in. Plus, they added some kids in the portal. So tell me a little bit about your thoughts on Jordan putting that line together and figuring things out this spring.
Yeah, I think, one, it was a slam dunk hire. You know, you talk about not only the career he had both in college and in the NFL, but you bring back a guy that's, you know, through and through, a Utah guy, cares about the program, is proven he can play at the highest level. You know, I haven't had an opportunity to talk to him, you know, directly about his philosophy or anything like that, but gosh, the guy played at the highest. I can't imagine he's anything but a high-level tactician, right? So couple that with you have a guy that played here and has a passion for the university and for the state of Utah. Like, those are guys that go recruit really well, and with a name like his, his job might be the hardest of anyone on that staff, just replacing, you know, all those guys from the last couple of years and the continuity. But to your point, like, having no one enter the portal is impressive, and especially in today's day and age, like, that doesn't really happen. So he, you know, again, obviously has the name, but for him to come in and, you know, relate and get into it with the guys that are on campus, and then bring in the guys that he's had come in with him. I mean, there's probably going to be a little bit of a curve there to pick up. You know, it's not the same 5, like you mentioned, from the last couple of years, which is rare anyway, but gosh, I can't think of a better guy really to be in that position. And, you know, again, another hire where, you know, Morgan, I think, hit it out of the park.
I think so, too, and it's been fun talking to him. He's really excited to be back at his alma mater as well. Yeah. From Jordan Gross to Jordan Wynn. Jordan, thanks for doing this today. It's great catching up with you. Let's do it again soon.
Yeah. Yep, anytime, Bill.
Jordan Wynn with us here on the Sean O'Connell Show today. Bill Riley sitting in for Sean. Appreciate him taking a few minutes. I didn't do this earlier, so I'm going to do it right now. How would you like to get a little free golf on the folks here at ESPN 700? Festival of Tees is going on. Got a round of golf for you at Nibley Park. Yeah, Nibley's great. Right in the city. Round of golf to Nibley Park on us. Us being ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM, brought to you by Mountain Home Services. Just simply text the keyword Nibley to 877-353-0700. That's Nibley to 877-353-0700. And, you'll win a free round of golf. James will pick out a name, and you'll be the winner, courtesy of your friends at Mountain Home Services and ESPN 700. Could not be more excited about the Stanley Cup playoffs, which begin this weekend. Mammoth are in. They'll wrap up the regular season later tonight. Mike Folta joins us next. The voice on the radio of the Mammoth will join us coming up here on the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700. Sean O'Connell Show, final half hour. Bill Riley sitting in. Thanks again to Sean for letting me sit in, all the folks here. Thanks to my bosses at the U for letting me sit in a couple of times a month here for Sean while he's out. He'll be back next week. He's in Belfast doing some fighting stuff. So he'll be back to talk a little hockey playoffs and more with you. Wrap up spring football next week here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Hockey playoffs begin for the Mammoth on Sunday. They wrap up the regular season tonight. ESPN will have the television broadcast. Our next guest will have the radio call tonight as the Blue Note are in town. St. Louis Blues in to close out the regular season. Mammoth, they'll be playing the Golden Knights in Vegas Sunday. Mike Folta joins us now, the voice of the Mammoth, who's got the radio call Sunday from Vegas. How are you, Mike?
Oh, good. I'm just looking out my window at some hockey weather here, Bill. Flurries coming down in the valley, and how apropos. Game 82 of the regular season for the Mammoth. A year ago, yesterday, they were also playing the St. Louis Blues, but that was it. That was the end of what was a really fun story in the inaugural season. But there will be a game 83 this year, as you mentioned. Utah taking on the Golden Knights on Sunday. So fun time to be a hockey fan on the Wasatch Front.
So what was the biggest difference a year ago at this time till now? Why do you think this team took a step forward this year?
Young players got better. Dylan Gunther has 40 goals. Logan Cooley's been fantastic. And the team improved as well. General Manager Bill Armstrong brought in some players via free agency. He traded for J.J. Peturka, who has 25 goals this year. But one of the guys he brought in via free agency, Nate Schmidt, a versatile, experienced defenseman. He has fit in on Utah's second defense pair nicely. And I actually just tweeted it, but that second defense pair, Nate Schmidt, John Marino, maybe two guys who you don't see a ton of their jerseys walking around the Delta Center, but that has been the second most effective pair this year. And we look at plus minus, which isn't the end all be all of hockey stats, but they have the best plus minus of any defense pair in the league. They've been fantastic. And the core has gotten better as well. Clayton Keller's had a great year. Nick Schmaltz has had a career season. So a lot of contributing factors. Everybody's elevated their play, and the Mammoths have a great playoff situation trying to muck their way through the Pacific Division.
You always want to create rivalries. It's hard to have a rivalry when you're a brand new franchise, and obviously the Mammoth are. You've got the Avalanche to the east. You've got the Golden Knights to the south. I've always said to create rivalries, you have to have memorable games and things that mean something. You just don't have that when you're only 2 years in as a franchise. But, if you want to start to create a rivalry, this could be a good opportunity to do so. Proximity with the Golden Knights, they're still a relatively new franchise as well. Play some meaningful playoff hockey. Maybe you get a little something started here. What do you think?
No doubt. And I think some of our broadcast crew is even making the drive down I-15. That's how they're getting there. So it's going to be awesome. Last time we were in Vegas a few weeks ago, there was a lot of Mountain Blue on the Strip on Las Vegas Boulevard. So I'm expecting a bunch of Mountain Blue jerseys in the crowd at the Fortress on Sunday and then again on Tuesday as well. So super exciting. And you look at, some of the great rivalries we've had in the playoffs the last couple of years. Think of Crosby and Ovechkin, right? Two guys who have been pitted against one another ever since they entered the league. They were constantly meeting in the playoffs, the Capitals and the Penguins. And the story for a long time was Ovechkin couldn't win the big one because he could not get past Sidney Crosby and the Penguins. And we know that's one of the great rivalries of our sport now. Tampa and Florida, yes, they share a state, but they also met in the playoffs for several years. And Tampa would beat the brakes off the Panthers, and the Panthers finally had enough and said, you know what? Get over here, Matthew Tkachuk. Get over here, Sam Bennett, some of the toughest guys in the league. We need to get meaner. And they got meaner, and what do you know? They've gone to the last 3 Stanley Cup finals and won the last 2.
So you know this, and hockey fans here know this, but if you're new to the game and you don't follow it closely, you can have a great regular season. But if you hit the playoffs and your goaltending is average to below average, you've got no chance in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So how do you feel about goaltending as you guys begin to get ready yourself for Sunday and into the playoffs?
Well, I think you feel good about Karel Vejmelka and his ability to steal you a game or steal you a series. And really throughout the year when this team has been at its best, their goaltending has been at its best as well, whether it's been Karel Vejmelka or Vitek Vanacek, the number 2. We expect Karel Vejmelka to play basically every game in the playoffs, barring anything notable. But Veggie's been solid this year. His numbers dipped a little bit in November, and the team struggled. Well, in January, he was outstanding. He's led the league in games played for most of the year. He's seen the most rubber. He's played the most minutes out of anybody. Nobody has leaned on their goaltender as much as Utah has leaned on Karel Vejmelka this season. And he was the first goaltender to reach the 30-win mark. So even if he doesn't have his A stuff every night, he more than often finds a way to get the win. He's been solid recently. I don't know if we're going to see him tonight or if we're going to see the number 2 Vitek Vanacek and get Karel a little bit of rest heading into the playoffs. But we've seen some really good stuff from Veggie over the second half of the year, and you have to think it's probably an advantage for Utah as Vegas still has a bit of a goaltending question. They've been riding Carter Hart recently, and he's been playing really well, but there's just not as big of a sample size there. So if you had to give an advantage in the goaltending matchup, I think you have to give it to Utah.
Are there any other places where you feel like Utah's got a definitive advantage in this series with Vegas?
I think Utah's speed always gives teams problems, and Vegas can skate. Vegas is a very good team with elite players. I think as a team, though, this Mammoth group probably has better team speed than Vegas. The one thing that scares you as a Utah fan is that Vegas has a special teams advantage. And special teams often can be the deciding factor if 5-on-5 and goaltending is a wash. But Vegas has a top 10 power play and a top 10 penalty kill. And they've got really good players, Mitch Marner, Jack Eichel, Mark Stone. These guys are really talented, really skilled. And they've got a new coach, too. John Tortorella took over with 8 games left in the regular season. And all they've done is go 7-0-1, unbeaten in regulation ever since the new coach took over. So all of that will make for a ton of great storylines and a lot of intrigue once the season starts. But honestly, Bill, you can throw out a lot of the stats from the regular season once the playoffs start. They call it the second season for a reason. It's totally different.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because I don't think these two teams played a close game in the regular season. Weren't they all blowouts?
They were. And we've seen the Mammoth go down to the Fortress and absolutely annihilate Vegas. We've seen Utah really struggle against the Golden Knights. That was kind of one of the gut check games earlier this year against Vegas. The Mammoth lost 4-1 at home, and then got the train on the track literally like a week later or a few days later, and turned around and beat Vegas 5-1. So I think the biggest thing is being able to handle the highs and lows. You're not going to sweep every playoff series. You're going to lose a playoff game at some point. How you respond to that is going to be really telling, and that's something that excites me about this Utah group. They've shown a propensity for bouncing back from bad performances throughout the course of the season.
Mike Folta's with us, the voice of the Mammoth, for just a couple of more minutes. He's got the call of tonight's regular season finale, and then he'll be on the call Sunday as they play the first game of the playoffs, first game in Mammoth franchise history in the postseason, coming up Sunday in Las Vegas. This feels like a team that is built the right way. Year one, I know they just missed out last year, made the right moves, as you said. They've grown together, still a young team. Is this about kind of where you thought they would be? If I would have gone back to October with you, Mike, and said, give me an idea of how you think this season plays out, is this kind of where you saw it with this team?
I don't know if I saw it, but this is where we all hoped.
Right.
And this was kind of the Death Star plan from General Manager Bill Armstrong and the top brass. And I think a lot of us were sitting around saying, yeah, playoff sounds good. We'll see. We'll believe it when we see it. And it is kind of shocking how things have proceeded according to the general manager's plan so far. Last year, the goal was to play meaningful games. late in the season. Utah accomplished that. They fell a little short of the playoffs, but they were still fighting towards the end. This year, ever since the onset, the goal was to make the playoffs, and Utah clinched that with a few games left in the regular season. And I tell you what, you talk to Bill Armstrong, and you're able to get him on the show or sit him down. The first thing that he talks about oftentimes are the players that are coming, that are on the way next. I'm thinking, we're in the playoffs. Like, we have a chance to compete for the Stanley Cup. But you ask Bill, he's really excited about the young players that are on the way next. So even though this is going to be a super exciting run in the next days and weeks and hopefully months, there's more talent coming up through the pipeline. And this team is being built for sustainable success.
How excited are you to call these playoffs?
Bill, I'm just hoping I don't screw it up. You grow up listening to these soundtracks, right? Your favorite broadcasters and these memorable calls, and it is a notable responsibility to call these moments that people are going to remember for the rest of their lives. Not necessarily because I called it, but because the moment itself is so special. And I think you would say the same thing. You just want to do it justice. So we want to have fun, and it's going to be a blast. The Mammoths have a great chance to make a run.
Well, you're great at what you do, and when you prepare and you're really good at what you do, everything else kind of falls together naturally. At least that's been my experience down through the years. So I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this thing as it plays out. And, hey, who knows? Goaltender gets hot, few things go your way. Might not be one round, it might be two.
The Mammoths don't need a 1980s miracle on ice to get past the Golden Knights or to get past the next team they'll play. The Pacific Division, that's the bracket that Utah is going to be in. It's the weakest division in hockey in the last 10, 12 years. So still some really good teams and some incredible players the Mammoths will have to beat. Nothing is easy in the playoffs, but it's a great opportunity. It's a great seeding for the Utah Mammoths to like you said, win a couple rounds. So can't wait for it, and can't wait to be up at Rice Eccles coming up next year as well. We'll be in your neck of the woods, taking over the football field for a little bit.
140 days till Utah football kicks off. I don't know how many days to the Winter Classic, but it will be. It's going to be so fun to see that set up. I've been so lucky for the last 17, almost 18 years to call Rice Eccles my home on Saturdays in the fall. I can't wait to see that hockey rink set up in the middle of the field and see the Mammoth playing, and I think it'll be fantastic.
Yeah, I might have to stop by the 22 for you fan day, the spring game, just to get used to the accommodations up there.
Well, that's going to be over at the field house on the inside. It won't be at the stadium.
Okay.
But here's what I'll do. I'll walk you around. I'll bring you up. In fact, we'll get you used to it. If you want to come up and sit in the booth this fall when you're not doing a game, I'll get you used to the booth and the setting. And you're a little further from the ice at Rice Eccles Stadium than you are at the Delta Center. So you might want to just get your eyes used to that. I don't think you use the binoculars very often at the Delta Center. You will at Rice Eccles.
Hey, on radio, Bill, sometimes we just make it up.
Hey, it's theater of the mind, Mike. If you and I say it, it must be true, right?
I'll tell you this. The Utah Mammoths have never lost a fight on the ice on the radio broadcast.
Hey, I was at that Capitals game a couple of weeks ago. That was unbelievable, the amount of fighting we saw. I mean, I've been to a number of games. For a regular season game, I don't know what got into the boys that night, but the Capitals and the Mammoth were not having it with each other.
Well, and honestly, it didn't go Utah's way that night, but I think that was a great learning experience for the Mammoths because once you get to the postseason, you get those dust-ups after every scrum, after every whistle. There's guys clutching at you, grabbing you. If you're a new fan and you don't know what a face wash is, go look up what a face wash is. It's not comfortable. But you get a lot of those in the postseason. And the Mammoths got dragged into the mud by Tom Wilson and the Caps that day. And they need to make sure they don't get thrown off their game again in the playoffs because Vegas will likely try and do the same thing.
Hey, my friend, thank you for doing this. I look forward to catching up with you. Have a great call tonight in the regular season finale. Have fun in the postseason beginning Sunday. And we'll get together and have a little lunch when your season ends. Sound good?
Hopefully that's in June. We'll see you, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Mike Folta will have the call tonight on radio for the Mammoth and the Blues, and then I'll have the call on Sunday for Game 1 in Vegas for the Golden Knights and your Utah Mammoth. We'll come back. We'll do a little topical trivia and wind it down next. Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. All right, final segment here on a Thursday. Riley filling in for O'Connell today. Got a little topical trivia for you today. We've got some tickets to give away. Country artist Zach Top is going to be playing the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater coming up in July, and we've got a pair of tickets to see Zach Top if you would like to go out and see him. You can do so if you can answer today's topical trivia question. Send your answer in on the text line to 877-353-0700. I noted when I was talking about Utah football today, 3 players that I thought would have big impacts this fall that have had good springs, but I thought would have an impact this fall. Who were the 3 players that I mentioned specifically? Who are they? You can give the last name, you can give the first and last name, but who are those 3 players? If you know the answer to that and would like these Zach Top concert tickets, text those 3 players' names to 877-353-0700. That's 877 353-0700. Who were the three players that I mentioned a couple of different times today that have looked impressive in the spring that I think could have an impact coming up this fall for Morgan Scalley and the Utah football program? If you know the answer, dial it up and send it in right now on the text line to 877-353-0700, and you will win a pair of tickets to see country artist Zach Top at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater coming up a little bit later on this summer on July the 9th. Time for a leaderboard update from the RBC Heritage Round 1 at Hilton Head Island. And, it's underway and just about wrapped up for the day, in fact. Your leader in the clubhouse at 8 under, he shot a 63 today at Harbortown Golf Links, was Ludvig Alberg. Young man from Sweden, shot an 8 under 63. He's got a one-shot lead over Victor Hovland and Harris English, who were 7 under 64 today. Michael Brennan, Gary Woodland, Ryan Fox, Ricky Fowler, all 6 under 65s today at Harbortown. 2 shots back. And at 5 under par, Robert McIntyre, he of the inappropriate gesture toward the greens last week at the Masters. Sanjay M., Sepp Straka, Daniel Berger, and Andrew Novak, all at 5 under par today at Harbortown. That leaderboard update of the RBC being brought to you by Uinta Golf. Swing into Uinta Golf for the newest Titleist Vokey SM11 wedges. The new Vokey SM11 wedges are tour-inspired to have optimized flight, improved spin performance, tour level, grinds, and more. You can get those at Uinta Golf. Big thank you today to Jordan Wynn for joining us, Gordy Chiesa for coming in studio today, and Mike Folta talking a little hockey with us as well on the program. Thanks to Sean for having me come sit in for him. I appreciate him having the trust in me to fill in the air chair. Thanks to my bosses for letting me do it as well. I will be on the air tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday doing Utah baseball as they welcome Texas Tech in. Come on out to the ballpark, the new ballpark, America First Ballpark, and watch the weekend baseball or watch us on ESPN+. And don't forget, Utah Fan Fest, the 22 for You Fan Appreciation Day at the Spence Checketts Fieldhouse on Saturday afternoon. 4:30 to 6. Bring the kids out for the Kids Zone, get autographs, meet the team and staff, and have a good time with all of that stuff coming up on Saturday from 4:30 until 6. That will do it for the show today. Spence and The Drive come your way next. Enjoy it. Thanks to James Peterson for producing things today. I'm Bill Riley saying so long and good afternoon. Stay tuned. Spence coming up straight ahead right here on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.